After Wang Yanming and her friends left, Emo asked, "Tell me, what news did you hear about the blood coral?" After Wang Yanming and her friends left, Emo asked, "Tell me, what news did you hear about the blood coral?" Shuai Shi rejoiced. He originally just wanted to suck up to Emo and didn't expect Yi Qianbei to be so interested in this news. He quickly said, "Yesterday, an underling of mine was drinking at Luwang Bar and heard the conversation between two people." Then, Shuai Shi looked at Emo, seeing that he was listening intently. He decided to reward that underling who got the news. In his excitement, Shuai Shi continued, "One of the two was a woman. She told the other person that person was too strong. If the blood coral was related to that person, then she wouldn't intervene. She also said she didn't want to continue this mission. Even if this mission was done and she could be promoted to the Earth Department, she didn't want to do it anymore. She said that person wasn't someone she could kill. That man said that the organization would hunt her if she left mid-mission." Then, that woman sunk into silence and didn't say anything. Earth Department? Emo thought of the girl called Dong Qing whom he marked with his spirit sense. She should be from the Earth Fiend, a human-level killer. Was that woman her? But why would she be here? And if it really was Dong Qing, how could a human-level killer from the Earth Fiend leave such a big clue, allowing a small hoodlum to get this news? Emo thought of this and frowned. Shuai Shi saw this and his elated mood began to sunk. He didn't know why Emo would frown at this news, and just when he was getting nervous, Emo asked, "How did your man get this news?" "So that was it," Shuai Shi quickly said. "Wang Kangui just said he heard the news, but he didn't say how. I'll call him over immediately." Then Shuai Shi saw that Emo didn't react, so he called outside, "Get Wang Songgui to come here immediately." Wang Songgui came here very fast. It was just a few minutes and he was already here. Seeing Shuai Shi, he quickly put on a smile and said, "Big boss, you need me for something?" Shuai Shi nodded and said, "This is Yi Qianbei. He has something to ask you. You need to reply carefully. If you're not, don't blame me then." Seeing his boss' serious eyes, Wang Songgui quickly nodded and said, "Yes, Yi Qianbei, please ask." "You heard about the blood coral from the Luwang Bar?" Emo asked. Wang Kangui gasped a breath of relief. He thought it was going to be something else. He quickly said, "Yes, Qianbei, I heard about it in the Luwang Bar. At the time I was drinking and there were two people talking in the room next door, and I heard everything clearly." Emo sneered and knocked the table. "You are lying. If you keep lying, don't blame me for what's going to happen next." Shuai Shi stood up and slapped Wang Songgui. "You don't want to fucking live. How dare you lie to Yi Qianbei?" Wang Songgui was slapped rolling away, but he didn't dare to wipe the blood from his mouth. He didn't get how this Yi Qianbei knew he was lying. But that wasn't important anymore. What was important was that if he kept lying, then perhaps his boss would really kill him. Wang Songgui knelt and begged, "Big boss, have mercy. Everything I said is real. I just didn't hear it from next door. I know a manager of the bar, and last time when it was renovating, I put two extremely hidden cameras in the wall. I wanted to use it to sneakily record some things and use them to blackmail people. Yesterday, one man and woman got in the room. I thought something was going to happen, but they searched the room for a long time and didn't find anything, so they said those words. Big boss, Qianbei, everything I said is real." Emo nodded. It seemed that this Wang Songgui had some capabilities. However, no matter how good he was, how could Dong Qing not discover the camera he installed? If Dong Qing only had such skills, then the so-called Earth Fiend killer was only so-so. Then what happened? Emo continued asking. Wang Songgui didn't dare to hide anything and replied. In the next hour or so, the two didn't speak and just drew with paper. They didn't even touch each other's hands and left. I didn't get anything valuable. Emo was speechless. Wang Songgui thought bed action was the only valuable thing. If there was no bed action, then it was all useless. This guy was a unique one. Just when Wang Songgui didn't know what the Qianbei was going to do with him, Emo said, "Okay, Bring me to that bar and see. Then show me that recording. Yes, I'll call my friend immediately and tell him to bring the recording. Wang Tsonggui was very cunning. He knew that this Yi Qianbei wasn't talking about those adult movies and wanted to know the content of the two's conversation. Lu Wang Bar was probably the biggest bar around. When Emo came in, he found that this bar was indeed recently renovated. No wonder Wang Tsonggui could install cameras inside. Led by Wang Tsonggui, Emo went into the room with the cameras installed. He looked at the place where the cameras were installed and couldn't help to applaud for Wang Tsonggui's cunning. If he didn't have spirit sense, the cameras would be very hard to find. Wang Tsonggui put the camera on the wallpaper. Not only was it small, but the camera lens was the black seed of the flower. There were so many flower seeds on the wallpaper. Who would compare them one by one? This guy was a natural. Wang Tsonggui and his friends both looked shady, but because the recording was from last night, it hadn't been wiped. Emo turned on the computer and checked the recording. The woman who appeared was Dong Qing indeed. There was another handsome youth, middle build and short hair. This youth had a worried look. The two searched the room. From the lens, it could be seen that both were thinking about other things, so the search was careless. What they said was exactly as what Shuaishi had said. But then, they didn't talk. They were drawing something on paper. The image was covered by Dong Qing's back and Emo couldn't see clearly. Until they left, most of the time, they were drawing on the paper and didn't talk anymore. When they packed the paper away, Emo saw there was a coral that protruded at the side of the sea. He seemed to have seen this coral before not long ago, when he came from the sea. He got some leads and stood up saying to Shuaishi, "Good, lucky I had you this time. You did very well. Next time I see Jiao Bianyi, I will tell him. I still have things now, so I'll be going first." Shuaishi's eyes were full of joy and he quickly said more polite words until sending Emo out. Until he saw Yemo's back disappeared, he still seemed like he couldn't believe it. He could come to Sanya completely because he had been with Jiao Bianyi for so many years and was given a chance. But now, it was different. He actually unintentionally got on the good side of Yi Qianbei. He would be rising into the heavens in front of Jiao Boss. The more he thought, the more Shuaishi was excited and turned around to his henchmen and said, "You guys must treat those friends of Yi Qianbei well. If any one of you dares to be rude to them, then don't blame me." It was more than 10 at night. Emo was fast and came to the beach in 20 minutes. He found there was a big coral there indeed. Emo jumped and landed on the coral. There was nothing on it, and no people, but Emo was happy. He felt the spirit sense marker he left. He left this on Dong Qing before. With his current power, as long as Dong Qing was within 5 kilometers, he would be able to feel it. And now Emo felt that spirit sense marker was in the sea and it was about to leave his spirit sense range. Emo didn't dare to wait and took out a wooden board. He stood on it and rapidly made way towards his spirit sense marker. It was only a few minutes and a white yacht appeared in front of Emo. Emo went over quickly and found there was an old man in his 50s on guard. The yacht was parked there and not moving. Emo got on the boat and scanned in. There were only 2 people inside. They were Dong Qing and the youth he saw. "Dong Qing, is there really someone this strong? I've heard of the hidden sect masters, but someone you described is too absurd. This time, the authority even sent torrents. He's Earth rank yellow level modder. Perhaps we can gamble once. Plus, last time at the race, how can you be sure it was Emo who did things? Plus, do you really think he can change the bomb under your eyes?" That youth seemed to have thought for a while before saying hesitantly. Dong Qing's face was pale and she shook her head. "Cheng Qing, you haven't been in touch with him. You don't understand how strong he is. Now that I think about it, I'm actually quite scared. I'm sure he did it right under my eyes, but I wasn't able to see it." Pausing for a moment, Dong Qing continued. "When he was talking to me, I had this feeling of my heart skipping beats. Then, when Wu Feng pressed the button, the car that exploded was his own. I was sure that if I didn't leave at the time, I would be in his hands now. And, pausing for a moment, Dong Qing continued. When he was talking to me, I had this feeling of my heart skipping beats. Then, when Wu Feng pressed the button, the car that exploded was his own. I was sure that if I didn't leave at the time, I would be in his hands now. And what? Cheng Qing immediately asked. Dong Qing hesitated before saying, I suspect he has left a mark on my body. But afterwards, I kept washing myself and changing clothes, but that feeling of being marked is still there. I'm not sure if I'm being too suspicious or not, but my sixth sense is usually correct. If it wasn't for my sixth sense, I would have died at the mission in Hong Kong last time. Yemo listened and commended. This Dong Qing really was a natural assassin. He could leave his spirit sense on an earth-level master like Jing Shiwaihao being found, but this Dong Qing was able to guess it. Although she wasn't sure, but this instinct was amazing. Dong Qing didn't even have a level in ancient martial arts. She was just a hitman. Cheng Qing dazzled for a while before saying, You're thinking too much. How can there be such a mark in the world? Plus, he just held your hands. Although it was quite long, who knows if Yemo was lustful or not? Perhaps he just wanted to grab your hands. He couldn't use your hands to mark you. If he really could, then it would be too magical. Dong Qing shook her head and said, Not right. He probably didn't want to grab my hands. Tang Beiwei was much prettier than me. He might grab her hands rather than mine. Tang Beiwei is his sister. Of course he can't do anything to her. Cheng Qing immediately rebuked. Mimi? How do you know she is his sister? Have you done DNA testing? Plus, one of them is Tang and the other is Yi. I can't be sure. When I was investigating him in Ninghai, I saw him stay in the same bedroom with her for a night. And Yemo doesn't look like someone lustful. Dong Qing immediately shook her head. As though to support her opinion, Dong Qing said, If he really was lustful, according to the data I have, he had contacted with Yun Bing and his fiancée Ning Qingxue. Both of them are way prettier than me. How can he want me? Cheng Qing nodded. You're right, Yemo isn't someone we can offend, but is our upper leader someone we can offend? If we run, it's still death, and a very gruesome death. Dong Qing sighed. If I were to choose, I would rather offend our superior and suicide. That Yemo is too scary. I investigated him. Nanqing, Meadow River, although these two organizations aren't destroyed by him, they are both declining due to him. I suspect even the Song family's downfall was due to him. Recently, the amphibian gang was exterminated. I suspect it to be connected to him as well because we got the blood coral at the Sharp Sea corner. What about Qiao family, is it also him? Cheng Qing immediately asked. Dong Qing remained silent for a while before saying, I originally thought it was him, but after I got the new mission, I thought about it carefully. He probably didn't rob the blood coral. It might quite possibly be the Cha family. That's why I was desperate to go. I had the premonition that if I stayed with them, my life won't be mine. Cha family? How can that be? When they collaborated with us, they never said they wanted the blood coral. Didn't they just say to kill Yemo? Xing Qing asked in surprise. Dong Qing shook her head and said, I don't know. If our hire to kill Qiao gang is the Cha family, then everything can be explained. But our hire is the Yun family, and then in the end, the Cha family asked for cooperation to kill Yemo. I don't understand them. This time I didn't listen to the superior's order to stay at the Cha family and ran away. I'm probably already being suspected by the authority. Because I suspect the authorities cooperated with Cha family on the blood coral. They wanted to lure Yemo, and I was just the bait. I don't know what's behind this, but I know if I went to the Cha family I wouldn't be alive. Perhaps the authority already knew I had been marked by Yemo, and that's why they wanted me to go to the Cha family. So, even if I know where the blood coral is, I wouldn't take this mission. Although I still don't understand a lot of things, I'm sure that regardless if Yemo is connected to the blood coral, if I go, I'm dead for sure. Hearing about this, Yemo rejoiced. This Dong Qing knew where the blood coral was indeed. However, what he didn't expect was that it was the Yun family who hired the assassins to kill Qiao gang, and the Earth Fiend was targeting him because he killed one of their assassins. However, why did the Cha family want to attack him? Before the race, he had no enmity with the Cha family. This Dong Qing's sixth sense was so strong. Yemo guessed that the Earth Fiend might really know that he marked Dong Qing and so was prepared to sacrifice her just to kill him. Other than him killing Earth Fiend assassins, there must be another reason. Otherwise, Earth Fiend wouldn't let their people be sacrificial pawns. Sai, you should keep tracking Yemo. As long as you follow him, you don't need to do anything. Cheng Qing sighed. After long, Cheng Qing sighed, what are you going to do then? If Yemo is really that strong, are you going to leave the organization? That is a very tragic path to death. Dying by yourself is better having your entire family die. Yemo always kill entire families. He's too cruel. I'd rather die in a secret place myself than let him find my family and kill them as well, Dong Qing said helplessly. Cheng Qing sneered, however. Dong Qing, I've been at Earth Fiend longer than you. I know a lot of things you don't. I don't know if Yemo kills entire families, but I'm sure if you betray Earth Fiend, you will have your entire family killed as well. Those people are a bunch of maniacs. They are unreasonable. 5 years ago, when I just got to Earth Fiend, a Qianbei of mine, he was a human-level purple killer. He was only one step away from Earth-level killer, but because he was trapped by his mission and went back a few days later, his entire family was killed. Our superior will really kill entire families, you just don't know. Huh? Dong Qing never heard that her organization would kill entire families. This was too horrifying. She only guessed Yemo killed entire families, but thinking about this, she worried her decision. Yemo knew there was no point in eavesdropping anymore, so he walked out and said plainly, if you work with me, not only will I not let Earth Fiend kill your family, I will even save you. Huh? Both Dong Qing and Cheng Qing shot up. Yemo appeared too suddenly, and they weren't prepared at all. Still, they reacted fast and put their hands at the waists at the same time. Obviously, they had their weapons at their waists. It's you? Yemo, how did you come over? Dong Qing immediately recognized who walked in. She slumped the hand at her waist. She knew that her killing blow was completely useless to Yemo. Hearing Dong Qing's words, Cheng Qing was astonished. He finally understood the terror of Yemo. This was deep in the sea and he didn't see any ship come near. He even let Fu Bo on guard, but a live person just suddenly appeared in the ship and his clothes were dry. It was as though he just appeared from next door. Even the most powerful Earth Fiend killer didn't have such power. No wonder Dong Qing would fear Yemo so much. He did have reasons for people to fear him. Yemo sat down and poured a cup of tea for himself before saying slowly, Dong Qing, now isn't the time for you to ask me how I got here. I have my ways. You wanted to kill me with the tricks you planted under the car. If I want to kill you now, it wouldn't even bother me at all, and I have 100 reasons to kill you. I haven't killed you yet because I want to see if you know what's good for you. If you seek death, then I have no choice. Dong Qing let out a long exhale as though putting everything down. The worry on her face disappeared. Sometimes people are like this. They keep worrying before things happen, but once it really did happen, they would feel it's no use worrying, might as well face it. Yi Qianbei, I know you're very strong. You can kill us like ants. Earth Fiend isn't an organization that we can betray easily. To be honest, I have no good feeling towards Earth Fiend at all. We were forcibly taken into training. Only because we have nowhere to go. We want to achieve higher in Earth Fiend. Now that I offended you, you can kill me, but I just don't want you to attack my family. Dong Qing seemed to realize there was death either way. Yemo smiled plainly and grabbed Dong Qing's wrist. He quickly sliced a wound on it, and before Dong Qing could react, Yemo let go of her hand. He pinched a small red goo in his hand. Is this the reason why you don't dare to betray Earth Fiend? I've taken it from your body. You can talk now. Dong Qing had her eyes wide open in shock and said horrifyingly after a while, how do you know that there's a control goo in my body? How could you force it out? You dare to hold it with your hand. Aren't you afraid it will go in your body? Yemo sneered. This little bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh. Emo sneered. This sort of bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh. Emo sneered. This sort of bug can be called goo? Don't make me laugh. He thought about the bug monk who reigned dominance in the cultivation realm for a time. He had all sorts of bugs on him. Each goo he raised was 1 to 2 meters long, and the largest one was more than 10 meters. This small thing wasn't even a fly in the cultivation realm. Ching also amazed at the goo in Yemo's hand. This was the first time he saw it out of the body. He knew that everyone who joined Earth Fiend must accept a goo from the Earth Fiend Goo King. If you leave or betray, this goo will be triggered and the goo bug will devour the heart of that person. It was helpless. He also heard the older generation say that if you had the Earth Fiend goo planted in you, you belonged to Earth Fiend for the rest of your life. Other than the Goo King, no one else could take the goo from the body. But now, he saw Yemo take the goo out of Dong Qing's body in 2 seconds and held it between his fingers, not fearing of it getting inside his body. Yemo was this strong. Qing, who was planning to attack Yemo, lost the intention to do so completely. He felt he had no chance on this youth at all. Although his sixth sense wasn't as strong as Dong Qing's, he could feel that if he attacked, he would be killed immediately. Yemo felt something wasn't right. Although this goo was like a fly to him, there was a dense life force coming from it, and Dong Qing seemed quite withered after he took the goo out. Her face even seemed a little waxy. What was this? Qianbei, you can remove the goo from my body? Aye. Qing immediately realized this was a rare opportunity after his initial shock. He also had goo in his body. If it was taken out, then wouldn't he be able to go anywhere he liked? He didn't have a family that the Earth Fiend could exact revenge on. Yemo knew his intentions, of course, and looked at him plainly. I can take it out of your body, but you need to answer my questions truthfully. If you hide anything, I can still search your soul. The last bit was a lie. He wasn't in Foundation establishment yet. If he wanted to search soul, he could only control Qing's mind and make him say it himself. However, the bad thing was that the information would be very incomplete. I'm willing, as long as Qianbei helped me remove the goo, I'm willing to answer any questions. Qing didn't have any hesitations at all. Okay. Yemo reached out his hand and sliced on Qing's arm. Although he took a little longer, but it was less than 5 seconds and a yellow goo bug appeared on Qing's arm. Yemo held the bug and found there was more life force on it, and Qing was more withered than Dong Qing. He was so weak that he almost fell to the ground. The color was different, and the amount of essence blood was also different. Was this related? Yemo squeezed and the red goo was crushed. A faint yellow flame rose from the tip of his finger and burnt that goo to crisp. However, he didn't crush the yellow bug and still had it on his finger. Dong Qing and Qing were shocked. They had seen many powerful people in the organization, some of them even having special abilities, but they had never seen someone as strong as Yemo. Yemo didn't say anything. He felt this goo was eerie. What was this? Do you know why the colors in your goos are different? Yemo felt it was similar to the body-devouring goo in the cultivation realm, but it also seemed a little different. He wasn't sure, so he asked. Qing and Dong Qing glanced at each other and shook their heads. I don't know, but the goo you took out is about the same color as our status. I'm still a human red killer while Qing is a human yellow killer. The color of the goo matches our level. There are so many levels to a human level killer? Yemo murmured to himself, but he still didn't understand. Then he asked, Since you can't even see what colors your goos are, how do you rank up? Qing said, Each person who enters Earth Fiend will have a goo planted by the Goo King. Usually, those who just got in have red color, then orange. Now, I just rose to yellow. The highest level of human level is purple. We have people who test us. If we pass, we will be given this badge. Then, Qing took out a yellow badge. It had 2 sharp daggers and there was a head on it. It seemed quite eerie. Then, Qing continued, The Earth-level killers also have 7 colors, but their badge doesn't have the human head. It's Earth instead. Yemo took the badge and studied it for a while but didn't find anything. It seemed like a normal badge. Seeing that Yemo was studying the badge, Dongqing also took out her badge and gave it to Yemo. Other than the color difference, everything else was the same. Yemo held the badge and asked, "That is the heaven-level badge, a piece of the sky with 2 daggers?" Qingqing shook his head. "That I don't know. I've never seen a heaven-level badge. I have a bro called Yuanpeng. He's Earth-level killer. He failed a mission before the ascension to heaven level. But I heard that once you reach heaven level, you will have your goo bug taken out and become an elder of the Earth Fiend. You can also choose to leave Earth Fiend and live your own life, so everyone wants to hurry up and become a heaven-level killer." Yemo immediately asked, "Are there people who become heaven-level killer?" Qingqing nodded and said, "Almost every year, there are people who become heaven-level killer. And after they became heaven-level, they pretty much all chose to leave Earth Fiend. If I reach heaven level, I will also quit." Yemo had understood everything by now. He sneered. "Change a life? What a joke! I originally didn't know what's up with the goo, but now I know something, and I've seen these sort of things too much. This goo looks like a body-devouring goo I've seen before. Of course, these goos are countless times worse than those. Body-devouring goo?" Dongqing repeated, and her face went pale. She had a body-devouring goo inside her body. Just the name was disgusting enough. Yemo still sneered. "That's right. It's similar to the body-devouring goo. It's a parasite in the host and devours the essence blood of the host. It can also devour life force, so once the host kills someone, the victim will have their life force devoured by the body-devouring goo. Then, it will use the host's blood essence to nourish itself. So the more you kill, the more lively it is." "Qianbei, so you mean that we're using our own blood essence to feed the body-devouring goo? After we kill people, the life force of the dead is also eaten by the goo?" Qingqing's face went pale. He couldn't accept such thing. "Indeed." Yemo nodded and continued, "The person who planted the goo in you has nefarious intentions. One is to stop you from betrayal, of course, but the main reason is for the goo to get more essence blood and life force. The more focused you are when killing, the better it is for the goo." Yemo looked at the two who were pale and said, "This goo only just started in your body, and you guys are already so withered when I took it out. And this goo is still struggling in my hands, wanting to eat more of your essence blood. It can be seen, believing Earth Fiend once you reach heaven level is a lie. If I'm not wrong, then the heaven-level killers have right body-devouring goo. Once it is taken out, the host will immediately become extremely weak. Then, the goo would immediately devour the host, eating their life force and essence blood clean." Dongqing and Qingqing's faces were pale. After a long, Dongqing said shakily, "Why are they doing this? Each heaven-level killer is a genius among killers. Why are they killing their own men?" Although they already believed what Yemo said to be is true, this was too absurd. Yemo sneered. "That's because the goo is ripe and the goo farmer can harvest. The person who planted the goo in you is using the life force and blood essence of the right body-devouring goo to cultivate some sort of thing. This guy is strong indeed." Yemo had to approve of this goo farmer's calculations and plan. This was pretty much farming a bunch of pills that can cultivate. When he needed them, he could take them. Although these goos are far from the body-devouring goos, but their properties were pretty much the same. Being able to find such a goo and someone who could control them so well on Earth was quite astounding. "So that's how it is." Qingqing gasped a long breath. Obviously, he already believed Yemo's words. "Qingqing, do you know something?" Dongqing immediately asked. Qingqing's face looked black and said, "I finally understand why Yuanpeng brother died. The last time he went to do a mission, he was already an Earth Purple level killer, and that mission wasn't very hard, but he wasn't able to finish it. Now I know, he must have been harvested by the Goo King." Yemo frowned but didn't say anything. If this was the truth, then that Goo farmer must not be underestimated. Earth Fiend had been around for so many years. This guy had devoured countless blood essences and life forces. Next time when he went to annihilate the Earth Fiend, he needed to be careful of this guy. Emo frowned but didn't say anything. If this was the truth, then that goo farmer must not be underestimated. Earth Fiend had been around for so many years. This guy had devoured countless blood essences and life forces. Next time when he went to annihilate the Earth Fiend, he needed to be careful of this guy. But now, he didn't have the mood to care about that. Thinking about this, he waved his hand and said, "Let's put that aside now. Tell me where the blood coral is first." Dongqing came back to her sense, and hearing Emo's question, she quickly replied, "After I left the race, I thought of running as far as possible because I didn't dare to betray the organization. So I contacted them, and they gave me a new mission. That is for me to return to the Cha family immediately. At that time, I guessed that the blood coral might quite possibly be at the Cha family. Just when I was hesitating, Ching-Ching came and found me." Ching-Ching quickly nodded and said, "The uppers sent me to help with Dong-Ching, but I knew it was surveillance. Because when Dong-Ching left Huzhong, she didn't report and made up a story afterwards. The uppers probably don't know that I knew Dong-Ching. When I was young, I was raised by Dong-Ching's parents for a while. Later, we realized we were in the same killer organization, so we pretended we didn't know each other well. The organization does not allow us to contact each other, much less have a good connection." Emo nodded. Dong-Ching's subconscious actions were right. Her sixth sense was very accurate. It seemed that the Earth Fiend did intend for her to be a sacrificial pawn, sending her to the Cha family. The intention was to lure him to the Cha family. The other reason was probably to prevent Dong-Ching from falling in his hands first and leaking information about the Earth Fiend. What Emo was confused was that how did the Earth Fiend people know he marked Dong-Ching? And how did they know he would follow her? Were they just guessing? Emo looked at Dong-Ching and said, "Not bad, you can guess your uppers are using you as a sacrificial pawn. Then let me ask again. Has the Cha family seen Ching-Ching? Do they know him?" Ching-Ching answered, "They don't know me for sure. I've never been to the Cha family. Most of my missions are in the Macau and Hong Kong region." Emo nodded and said, "That's good, and where is your HQ?" "The mainland. Hong Kong and Macau killers gather annually at the Hong Kong Pu Temple. As for other countries, I don't know, but I know that other than the HQ at Hong Kong, there are at least 3 other HQs. I just don't know the exact locations." Cheng-Ching replied immediately. "Hong Kong Pu Temple?" Emo went there last time and annihilated the Datang there too. He didn't expect the Earth Fiend to be at such a chaotic place. "Okay, in that case, Cheng-Ching, you leave first. Tomorrow, I will go with you and Dong-Ching to the Cha family." Emo immediately took out a plan of action. This was the best way because he can get the blood coral simple and easy. "You want to pretend to be Earth Fiend?" Ching-Ching looked at Emo in shock. After half a beat he continued, "There are many strong people in Earth Fiend. If they really want Dong-Ching to be a sacrificial pawn, there will definitely be stronger people there. Are you really going to go? Sacrificial pawn?" Emo sneered. "I'll show them who is the real sacrificial pawn. Yi Qianbei, can I ask you why you killed the goo from Dong-Ching but still have my one on your hand? I feel not safe." Ching-Ching stared at the yellow bug. As long as this bug wasn't dead, he wouldn't feel safe. Emo didn't answer. He knew it wasn't easy to grow these gus. Other than what he told the two, the body-devouring goo also had another special property. That was once the host died, it could fly back to the goo farmer and kept being used again. And the essence blood wouldn't disappear. The reason Emo kept this was to make a spirit sense mark on it, and let the goo fly back to keep a lead. In case in the future, he couldn't find the goo king. He had made up his mind. Once he got the blood coral, he would find a place with good spirit chi and break through. The first thing he would do after that was to go find trouble with the Earth Fiend. Of course, he wouldn't tell this to Ching-Ching. If he was captured by the Earth Fiend again, then his plan would be spoiled. Dongqing really wanted to ask if Emo marked her body, but seeing that Emo didn't answer Chengqing's question, she didn't dare to ask. Emo turned to Dongqing and said, Dongqing, if you are willing to take me to Cha family, I can pretend your attacks on me never happened. I will also teach you ancient martial arts, letting you have the power to protect yourself. I agree. Almost immediately, Dongqing agreed. First, there was nothing she could do in Emo's hands. Secondly, she knew about ancient martial arts. Those who could reach Earth level were all ancient martial artists. She knew the cultivation method for it was very valuable. If she didn't accept it, she would be an idiot. Chengqing looked at Dongqing in envy, but he knew he couldn't replace Dongqing and go with Emo. Dongqing saw Chengqing's envy and asked Emo, Qianbei, if I get this, can I teach it to Chengqing? Of course. Emo agreed without hesitation. That wasn't even a problem to him. He got these from killing anyways. It was very precious to Dongqing and her friend, but it was trash in his eyes. Seeing Dongqing agree, Emo immediately said, I'll be waiting for you in the airport tomorrow. As for Chengqing, I suggest you throw away everything Earth Fiend gave you, shave your hair as well. I think you know this. Dongqing was a woman, so Emo didn't search her body, but he searched Chengqing's body. Other than the goo, there were no other marks. From this, it could be seen that there shouldn't be other marks on Dongqing as well. So, he only needed to remind Chengqing. Then Emo walked out of the boat and disappeared into the sea. Dongqing and Chengqing were completely shocked. They stared at the endless night sky and the dark ocean water. So strong. After Emo was a long way away, Chengqing said with fright, No wonder you say he's a scary person. This isn't just scary. This is terrifying. I've never seen someone so strong. He's out of this world. Sigh. Dongqing also felt relieved. My sixth sense is right indeed. He isn't someone we can mess with. If I listened to the organization, I would have probably been a body tomorrow. And we would never know we were fed as food for bugs. Compared to Emo, our organization is scarier. Chengqing nodded and said, There's actually such a gruesome cultivation method. That Goo King really is an animal. But he messed with Emo, he would have his days of regret. Dongqing, your sixth sense is also very scary. Dongqing remained silent and didn't say anything. After a while she said, I believe what he said is true, but don't worry. When I get the ancient martial arts cultivation method, I'll also make a copy for you. And you should leave Sanya immediately. Bring my sister and her husband into Jing City and wait for me there. Once things here are done, we will go to Jing City. I have a feeling that Emo wouldn't let Earth Fiend go. Since the Earth Fiend messed with him, it's their bad luck. As long as we stay hidden in Jing City until the Earth Fiend is gone, then we can live a proper life. Chengqing nodded and said, Okay, but after I bring your sister and her husband away, I need to leave Jing City. I have a few friends in Earth Fiend. I want to tell them if they see Emo, they should beg for mercy. Your goo bug is now gone. You must not go to Hong Kong. Dongqing immediately said. Chengqing replied solemnly, I know, you should also be careful when you go with Qianbei to the Cha family. When Emo got to Sanya Airport, Dongqing had been waiting him for a long time. Seeing Emo come over, she quickly greeted him and gave him a plane ticket. If they wanted to go to the Cha family, they had to plane to Luotsang first, and then catch train to Liangpu City. Emo was originally planning to rob it himself, but he was afraid the blood coral wasn't there. Now that he went with Dongqing, perhaps he could get it straight away and then start a carnage. Even if the thing wasn't there, they would tell Dongqing where it is. They wanted to ambush him, then don't blame him for what's about to come. Now Emo had a new view of Earth Fiend. Originally, it was just a mere hitman organization. Even if it was international, he wouldn't care. He only needed to wear a defense artifact, and he could prevent all sorts of assassinations, but now, it was different with a goo cultivator. What if this guy exceeded Earth level? Plus, even if this guy was still Earth level, what threatened people in the cultivation realm the most was goo keepers. The bug monk at the time, no one dared to mess with him. When he was in golden pill state, he was already invincible in the same state. There was no other reason, his bugs were too many. And Yemo suspected that the Goo King also wanted the blood coral. He was already strong with the Goo. If he got the blood coral, then even Yemo was a bit worried. Liangpu City was originally just a small city, but it had been developing rapidly in the past decade. It had already become a medium-sized city, and still had room for improvement. Liangpu City was originally just a small city, but it had been developing rapidly in the past decade. It had already become a medium-sized city, and still had room for improvement. Although a lot of ancient martial artists knew about the Jiangnan Cha family, even some people from the hidden sects knew about them, they weren't famous in Liangpu. The only famous thing was those old houses of the Cha family. The only reason many people knew about the Cha family was due to those old houses. The houses weren't worth much when the city was just a small city, but when Liangpu became a medium-sized city and had rails connected to Luotsang, the housing prices rose rapidly. It's said that the Cha family houses were worth countless times more. And the houses were at the Golden Place in Liangpu, so they were worth more. Due to the rise in Liangpu land and the Cha family houses were at optimum place, it attracted a lot of land developers. There were a lot of developers who wanted this land, but the only one who had the capability was the Honghua Corporation. There was no land the Honghua Corporation couldn't get. So when the Honghua Corporation was checking out the Cha family houses, many people were waiting for the Cha family to move. But what everyone didn't expect was that when this was just brought up, the Honghua Corporation cancelled the plan in half a month. There was no other reason but all of the authorities of the corporation disappearing in one night. Even most of their families disappeared. This created a huge uproar, and after government investigation, it was because the Honghua Corporation had been tax avoiding and corrupt that they feared apprehension and left the country in one night with their wealth. Whether this is true or not, no one dared to make a move on the Cha family houses again. When Dong Qing and Yemo arrived at the Cha family, they received a warm greeting by the leader of the family, Cha Rulong, at least superficially. When Yemo first stepped foot in the building, he felt a strong yin qi, or perhaps earthy fiend qi was more accurate. It wasn't a good idea to live in houses with such a strong aggressive qi. But what made Yemo more bewildered was that although the Cha family was big, he didn't see much family members there. There were only a few servants, and most of them looked emaciated and tawny. They were obviously affected by the fiend qi here. It seemed the Cha family didn't live here, and the houses were only a place that the Cha family cultivated. To be exact, the Cha family didn't want to leave the fiend qi behind. It seemed that the Cha family's ancient martial arts cultivation was related to Earth Fiend. They obviously weren't good people. The backyard of the houses was barricaded, and foreigners were not allowed in. But Yemo scanned his spirit sense and knew that there were no people there other than some ancient martial arts cultivators. Mrs. Dong, last time, you left without saying goodbye. I really didn't know who you were. I apologize for that now, Cha Rulong said with a face of guilt, but his guilt was gone immediately. Then, he turned to Yemo and said, You must be Mr. Ching Ching. Please come inside. Then, Cha Rulong's smile grew more hospitable. Cha Rulong looked like he was in 50s. His face was white without a beard. He was at yellow level middle stage and seemed to have a solid foundation. Yemo looked at Cha Rulong's expression. Although it immediately returned to a hospitable smile, he still saw the shock when Cha Rulong saw him. Although he changed his face slightly, it wasn't something special. Yemo was sure that Cha Rulong wouldn't be able to tell. Since Cha Rulong shouldn't be able to tell that he was masqueraded, but was still shocked when he saw him. The only explanation was that Cha Rulong recognized he wasn't Ching Ching. Or, it meant that he had seen Ching Ching before or his picture. Yemo didn't expect the Earth Fiend to be so meticulous. They even sent Ching Ching's picture over to Cha Rulong. The only explanation for this was that either the killer was being abandoned by the organization or the hirer was very intimate with the hitman organization. It seemed that Ching Ching and Dong Qing's relationship was already known by their organization. Pity these two thought the organization didn't know their relationship. Indeed, I'm Cheng Qing. Even though Cha Rulong recognized he wasn't Cheng Qing, he might as well play along with the act. Cha Rulong had a face full of smile. I'm Cha Rulong. It's an honor that you two can come to our Cha family. As Cha Rulong spoke, he already led Yemo and Dong Qing into the guest quarters. As soon as Yemo came in, he scanned the whole place with his spirit sense. When he and Dong Qing first came in, there was 2 people at the door. Inside, there were 3 people. Other than Cha Rulong, there were 2 normal martial artists. Yemo noticed them. They weren't killers. But when Yemo scanned his spirit sense underground, he immediately understood what was going on. The ground was hollow. There were 2 people each hiding under the left and right guest chairs. Yemo noticed that they weren't ordinary killers. They were probably Earth rank killers. TL note: the Earth rank for killers does not mean they have Earth level power. It's just a status within the Hitman organization. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out, and soon found another Earth level killer hidden at the roof. There was also another killer underground. This wasn't the first time Yemo was in this situation. This was far from being able to threaten him. They actually sent out so many killers to him. This Earth fiend really didn't underestimate him. Did they already know he was acting as Cheng Qing? That was impossible. Even Cha Rulong only realized he wasn't Cheng Qing when Cha Rulong saw him. The only explanation was that they were sure he would follow Dong Qing here to rob the blood coral. These hitmen would attack when he attacked. Now that Cha Rulong saw he wasn't Cheng Qing, he only needed to think a little and would know he was Yemo. Even though he changed his face, Yemo was sure he would be recognized as they probably had seen his picture. But since the Cha family found out, perhaps they would attack immediately. Yemo stopped in the guest quarters and didn't sit down. If he sat down, the hitman would attack immediately and he wouldn't see the blood coral. Yemo didn't understand why the Earth Fiend would use so much power to kill him when he just killed 2 of their hitmen. But if they think a mere few assassins could kill him, they underestimate him too much. Dong Qing was rather vigilant. Seeing Yemo not sitting down, she also stayed by Yemo's side and didn't walk forward. Please have a seat, you two. Seeing the 2 didn't sit down, Cha Rulong invited once again. Yemo smiled. Mr. Cha, we're here to help. Although the blood coral is very important for the Cha family, it's also very important to us. Is the blood coral still here? Yemo knew he shouldn't be saying this, but since they already knew who he was, there's no point for him to hide. It was important to see the blood coral first. As soon as Yemo said this, Dong Qing immediately understood. Yemo's words obviously made them doubt. Their status didn't have the right to ask about the blood coral, but Yemo asked about it. With Yemo's cunning, he wouldn't make such a mistake. The only reason was that Yemo knew their identities were exposed. Although Dong Qing didn't know how, she was on the same string as Yemo's, so she immediately said, "That's right. We have been contacted by our uppers to protect the blood coral, so we need to confirm if the blood coral is still here." Yemo nodded to himself. This Dong Qing was really smart, knowing what he meant. Now that they said this, they might actually be able to see the blood coral. Okay, please have a seat. I'll get people to bring the blood coral for your examination immediately. Cha Rulong then said to the person behind him, "Bring the blood coral here immediately." They didn't seem to worry at all of being known as the culprit behind the Chiao family massacre, nor did they doubt Yemo. "Please have a seat, you two," Cha Rulong said to Yemo and Dong Qing once again. Yemo smiled and just sat down to the chair next to him. Cha Rulong saw Yemo's actions and rejoiced, but Yemo didn't seem to see it at all. The moment he sat down, his flying sword already pierced into the ground along the foot of the chair. Before the killer could move, Yemo's flying sword severed his head. The goo bug inside his body didn't even get a chance to escape. Then Yemo controlled his flying sword and killed the hitman underneath Dong Qing. Just when Yemo and Dong Qing sat down, these 2 killers were already killed. Even so, Yemo's flying sword didn't stop. He continued to control the flying sword and killed the killer at the door rapidly, and then rose up into the roof and killed another hitman there. 4 killers were killed in such a short time by Yemo. Yemo sneered, "In the wake of absolute power, all ambushes are useless." But when Yemo took back his flying sword, his face was a little pale. After all, he killed 4 in a row very rapidly. It was tough on his chi controlling the flying sword. But this also made Yemo alert. Although he was a cultivator and had the natural advantage, faced against large sums of people, he would be in danger if he used up his chi. But this also made Yemo alert. Although he was a cultivator and had the natural advantage, faced against large sums of people, he would be in danger if he used up his chi. Yemo also knew that his spirit chi would be consumed a lot due to the positions of the 4 killers. If they were just in front of him, he wouldn't use so much spirit chi. But that was no excuse. Cha Rulong saw Yemo and Dong Qing sit down and was overjoyed. He laughed. "Come help them pour tea." In the agreed code, if Cha Rulong said these 4 words, the killers would attack and he would help them from the side, but after he said the code word, there was nothing. At that moment, Cha Rulong's face sunk. What was this? Was he really from Earth Fiend? That's not right. The person impersonating as Ching Ching looked really like Yemo. Of course Yemo knew what Cha Rulong was thinking about, but his spirit sense stayed on the guy going to get the blood coral. After he went into the backyard, he kept walking and disappeared out of spirit sense range. Cha Rulong was uneasy, and seeing Yemo look at him he was more worried. Just when Yemo thought the blood coral was no longer at the Cha family, and was taken away by the Earth Fiend people, that man who went to get the blood coral appeared. He was followed by 2 ancient martial artists next to him. The strongest was black level middle stage. Yemo saw that man carry a big jade box and immediately rejoiced in his heart. He didn't expect the blood coral to be really at the Cha family. Good thing he came in time and didn't try to rob immediately. If he did, he would frighten them and perhaps it would be transferred away. Soon, the 3 people had arrived at the guest lounge. Yemo didn't wait for the man to give it to Cha Rulong and just took in. Yemo opened the jade box and it was a blood-red coral indeed. It was preserved quite well. He finally felt relieved. Although it wasn't very smooth, but it still landed in his hands. Seeing the blood coral somehow really land in Yemo's hands, Cha Rulong's face was worse. He even suspected that the Earth Fiend was involved. Then Yemo packed the blood coral away. He wouldn't take it out again. Where did you put the blood coral?" Cha Rulong dazed for a moment, and realized that big jade box was gone. There was no way you can put away such a big box without being seen. Cha Rulong immediately began to worry. Yemo said plainly, "I came to get the blood coral. Since you've already given it to me, it means that you did well. I'm going, see ya." Then, he got up and was going to walk outside. Dong Qing quickly followed. "Stop!" Cha Rulong was desperate and yelled. Yemo looked coldly at Cha Rulong. "Mr. Cha, what is it? Although you sent people to assassinate me, but I'll let you go on account of the blood coral. If you are still going against me, then don't blame me for helping Xiao Gang get his revenge. You know." Cha Rulong finally realized that from the start to the beginning, Yemo already knew he recognized him. The Earth Fiend people still didn't attack. Cha Rulong suspected he was tricked. Thinking about this, Cha Rulong pressed a bell hidden in the table. It was a mere few minutes and Yemo's spirit sense scanned those scouts all rushed into the guest lounge. Soon Yemo and Dong Qing were surrounded by more than 20 people. 5 of them were actually yellow level and 2 were black level. In a modern city, this power was enough to wipe everything. Dong Qing was originally wondering where Yemo put that big blood coral away, but seeing that so many masters had surrounded them, her face went pale. She was dumb. She was no match for any one of them, even when it was an ambush. Much less there were more than 20 here. "Bring out the blood coral and I can let you go." Cha Rulong was already suspecting if the Earth Fiend betrayed them. The 4 killers still hadn't moved, but they all had their faces covered and he didn't know any of them. Although he was certain he could kill Yemo, but he didn't know where Yemo put the blood coral away. Before he saw the blood coral, he wouldn't attack. Yemo looked at Cha Rulong and said, I'm curious. Why did the Goo King of Earth Fiend leave the blood coral with you and even send people to help you? Oh, you don't need to wait for those 4 killers. I've already killed them? When did you kill them? Cha Rulong asked subconsciously. Yemo sneered but didn't reply. Cha Rulong finally realized that he guessed wrong. Earth Fiend didn't conspire with Yemo. Yemo just killed the 4 killers. Show me the blood coral or put it on the table and I will tell you why. Cha Rulong's face was very bad. Then, he had a cruel look on it. If you don't tell me, even if you can escape from our Cha family, but I will kill all of your family. If we can kill the Chiao family, we can annihilate your Yi family, and there is Ning Qingxue, right? I will make sure she dies very happy. Yemo's eyes went cold. He wasn't planning to kill them all, but Cha Rulong successfully challenged his bottom line. Looking at Yemo's cold eyes, Cha Rulong felt his body shake as though he did something stupid. Yemo said coldly, Mr. Cha, you've successfully pissed me off. Very well, I will slaughter you Cha family clean today. What a joke. That black-level martial artist who guarded the blood coral scanned at Yemo and then said to Cha Rulong, Leader, no matter where he hid the blood coral, it can't be outside this room. As long as we kill him we can find it. Why bother talking to him? Then, he stared at Yemo, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes at all. Cha Rulong's eyes flashed. He thought that person was right. No matter how strong Yemo was, they only needed to kill him today. He nodded and said, Go at once and kill him. I don't believe this blood coral can be outside this house. The people heard Cha Rulong's words and charged together. They were all cultivating related Yin Fiend Qi. Before they even got close, there was a bleak, windy feeling. Dong Qing was invaded by this qi and shivering. She couldn't even stand properly. But Dong Qing immediately found that their attacks couldn't seem to reach her body, as though it was blocked by something. Yemo took out the long sword he took from Bienpa. Swiping around, blood splashed. It was only a few minutes and those 21 people attacking Yemo only had that black-level warrior remaining. However, one of his arm was cut off. At this moment, he was frozen. He had never expected a black-level master like himself with so many other people would almost be completely wiped out in only a few minutes while attacking a young man who had no energy flow. Cha Rulong looked at the room full of bloodied bodies and his face was white as paper. He knew Yemo was strong but didn't expect him to be so strong to this extent. What sort of being did he get as an enemy for the Cha family? He thought his Cha family wasn't something that the Song family could compare, but in fact, he was wrong. He regretted now, but there was no regret in the world. What power level are you? Are you Earth level, Master? That black level martial artist had fear flash across his eyes as he asked in trepidation. Cha Rulong and him both didn't realize how the long sword appeared in Yemo's hands. When Yemo packed it away, they both realized it just vanished into thin air. Dong Qing was dazed until now. Seeing the bodies and blood everywhere, she could no longer hold the fear in her heart and ran to the side vomiting. She also killed people, but it was assassination. When had she ever seen such a bloody carnage? Yemo didn't bother with Dong Qing and looked coldly at Cha Rulong. Answer my 2 questions. First, why is your family assassinating me? Second, why would the Earth Fiend keep the blood coral at your family? If you don't tell me, I will find the rest of the Cha family and kill them all. After being dazed for a long time, Cha Rulong suddenly laughed. Go kill them. I'll wait for you to kill the rest of them. Go, ha 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 ha. He went mad? Yemo punched Cha Rulong in the forehead and then turned around and killed the black level warrior with a wind blade and then continued to ask the 2 questions. Cha Rulong's expression was dazed, but he quickly answered Yemo's questions. O Feng wants to kill you. He took the Song family's treasure, jade woman plate, and came to our family. One of his conditions was to kill Yemo. The second was for us to introduce him to a hidden sect. I introduced him to Earth Fiend and gave the jade woman plate to Earth Fiend. My purpose is to get the blood coral. Yemo asked again. Since your Cha family got the blood coral and O Feng gave you the jade woman plate, why are you using it to trade with the Earth Fiend for the blood coral? Because the Yun family is very dumb. They asked the Earth Fiend to attack Xiao Gang and let the Earth Fiend know about the blood coral. The Earth Fiend promised not to leak the blood coral news to the hidden sects and promised not to rob it. The payment is the Jade Woman plate. Cha Rulong replied dumbly. So that was it. Yemo immediately understood. As long as the hidden sects didn't attack, then no one can take the blood coral from them. If the Cha family didn't sacrifice the Jade Woman plate, they wouldn't be able to protect the blood coral at all. Where are you Cha family people hiding? Although Yemo wasn't really going to kill them all, he still needed to know where they were. Cha Rulong answered. Our Cha family doesn't have female members because we're positioned at the Yin Fiend place. Our martial arts can only be cultivated by male. Once we have an offspring, the mother would be invaded by the Yin Fiend Chi and unable to survive. Yemo was speechless. This Cha family was this sort of a family. Wait. Yemo suddenly thought of a key problem. He should be in danger now. Looking at Dong Qing, who was still vomiting, Yemo casually killed Cha Rulong with a wind blade and dumped him with the rest of the Cha family people. Then, he threw out tens of fireballs and burnt the entire house to dust. Looking at Dong Qing, who was still vomiting, Yemo casually killed Cha Rulong with a wind blade and dumped him with the rest of the Cha family people. Then, he threw out tens of fireballs and burnt the entire house to dust. Ha you! Dong Qing happened to turn around now and saw the fireball Yemo made. She was truly shocked. This was out of her comprehension. Who was he? Dong Qing looked dumbly at Yemo. She finally believed that there were unimaginable masters in this world. Yemo looked at the dazed Dong Qing and took out an ancient martial arts booklet and a porcelain vase and gave them to Dong Qing. This is taken from a black-level peak stage master, and these pills are to assist in cultivation. These are now yours for showing me the way. Without these pills, you might not get anywhere even in decades considering your age. But with these pills, that will be different. These medical pills are far from real pills, but they can let you reach black stage within 5 years. And one thing is, we're both really in danger now. I believe you have realized that as a hitman. It's best if you leave as soon as possible. Then, Yemo thought and gave 2 fireball charms to Dong Qing. These are 2 charms. They can save your life. In time of danger, just throw them at the enemy and say Lin. As for other things, I won't help you. Go now, it's all up to you if you can escape from Earth Fiend. I think your organization is already starting to suspect you. You should know in your heart too. I think your organization already know about your relationship with Chen Qing. Dong Qing finally reacted and bowed to Yemo. Thank you, ye brother, for saving my life. If I don't die, I will pay you back. Yemo waved his hand. No need for that, plus, it's not even certain if you can escape from Earth Fiend. They will hunt us fully soon. It's completely your fate if you can run away. Hurry up and go now. I still have some businesses. Dong Qing bowed again and quickly left Cha family and disappeared. Seeing her disappear, he knew that since Dong Qing was so smart and her sixth sense was so accurate, she would quite possibly escape from Earth Fiend. If she still couldn't escape, then he couldn't really help her. He did what he could. The reason Yemo knew he was in danger was because he knew that the Cha family gave the Jade Woman plate to Earth Fiend as a deal. Perhaps the Earth Fiend wouldn't disclose the Cha family got the blood coral, but they would if they knew he got it. Perhaps at this moment, the Earth Fiend already knew something happened to the Cha family, and had dispatched large numbers of hitmen while spreading the news of the blood coral wide. Although Earth Fiend was an international organization, they were connected to the hidden sects and could notify the hidden sects about the blood coral. In the eyes of ancient martial arts cultivators, the blood coral was much more important than the blue flower blue leaf grass Yemo got last time. It said that the blood coral could be made into soup that allowed earth level to reach great heaven level. However, the Chiao family and others didn't even know how valuable it was and tried to use it to ascend to yellow level. It was such a waste of something so valuable. If it was just some hidden sect martial artists coming to rob it, Emo wouldn't care, but it involved too much. Once too many people came, Emo wasn't sure if he could escape. His flying sword wasn't invincible. Once people knew his fighting style, they only needed 2 to 3 Earth levels to control his flying sword and have 2 more Earth levels surround him. Then, he would be dead for sure. Even if they didn't control his flying sword, they only needed to gang up on him, and his spirit chi wouldn't be enough. Once he used up too much spirit chi, it would be the time he died. Emo knew that without a flying sword, his real power was only about the same as an Earth-level elementary stage. The reason he could easily kill Earth-level and subjugate Zhang Zhihui was completely because he had a flying sword and spirit sense which the ancient martial artists didn't know about. The gap between Dao cultivation and ancient martial arts grew bigger the later. It got until eventually, ancient martial artists were just insects in the eyes of cultivators. But in the early stages, Dao cultivators were no match for ancient martial artists. Emo was in this early stage. He hasn't even become a Dao cultivator completely. If Emo wasn't involved in martial arts a little and his power level was decent, he would have been long dead. Emo knew the Earth Fiend did things fast, and now that he was probably exposed, there was probably a lot of hidden sect masters rushing towards Liangpu. But he couldn't leave now. This Yin Fiend place was too precious. A Yin Fiend place like this definitely had the Yin Fiend bead. He wouldn't pass by such thing. Although he had no use for it now, this Yin Fiend bead was very useful for ghost cultivators and making artifacts. Yin Fiend bead was worth a city and was rare even in the cultivation realm, much less on Earth. In the cultivation realm, the Yin Fiend bead was worth much more than a blood coral. Plus, this bead was very harmful to ordinary people. It would benefit others and himself if he took it. If he didn't take it now, perhaps someone would recognize it, and by the next time he came, it would be gone. Emo believed it would only take him an hour or 2 to take the Yin Fiend bead. He didn't believe he would be surrounded in 1 or 2 hours in Liangpu. Far away in a luxurious private mansion in Hong Kong, a man in blue pajamas with a face of bleakness sat in a grandiose lounge with a hand holding a yellow bug. If Cheng Qing saw this, he would immediately understand this bug was the one Emo took off him, but it somehow got here. It seemed the bug flew a long distance, and was quite fatigued. An almost nude maid brought in a plate of fruit and milk and walked over lightly. She walked in front of the man and knelt, carrying the plate with her head and saying in a soft voice, "Master, please have some breakfast." The bleak man picked up the fruit plate and put it aside. The kneeling girl looked up in surprise. This had never happened before. Even when the master needed their service, it wouldn't be at breakfast time. This man dropped the bug and the bug quickly burrowed inside the woman's body. The woman screamed and fell on the ground. Soon the blood from her face was all gone, and she became a pale body in a few moments. But immediately, a man came and carried the body away. The goo bug flew back in the man's hands. However, the bug wasn't in a withered state anymore and became lively. The blue-clothed man got up and said bleakly, "Ching Qing was killed and no news got back. The thing in Liangpu must have gone out of control. This Emo really exceeds my expectations. I wonder how a goo would be like after feeding it someone like him. Let Sha-1 contact the hidden sections. Tell them about the blood coral. Earth Fiend will fully cooperate with them. I just want Emo dead or alive." "Yes." Someone in the corner replied and left immediately. "Humph, this Cha family is really useless, and they call themselves semi-hidden family. They can't even keep a mere blood coral. I just told them to keep for a week and they can't even do that." The blue-clothed man snorted. If Cha Rulong knew about this, perhaps he would crawl out from the ground and say it was their Cha family who robbed the blood coral and gave the Earth Fiend the Jade Woman plate in order to shut their mouths. Even so, this man still said the blood coral was placed in the Cha family temporarily. Perhaps Cha Rulong never expected this to happen. The hidden sects stayed hidden, but if they came out, they would fight for interest. With the foundation of the Cha family, they would be feeding an organization like Earth Fiend free benefits if they tried to scheme with them. Even if Emo didn't take their blood coral, it would eventually become the Earth Fiend's. Why did the semi-hidden family fall? It was because their brains were rusting and still wanted to live in a busy city. If the Cha family didn't have a Fiend place, they would have been long annihilated. Or if someone knew about the Fiend bead's worth, the Cha family would have been long devoured as well. News of the blood coral spread amongst the hidden sections. Sometimes, as long as the news got out, it spread very fast. Countless hidden sect masters rushed towards Liangpu, this small city. The U Association auction couldn't attract everyone, but the appearance of the blood coral almost got all the hidden sect masters coming. Now, the hidden sect martial artists hadn't had someone reach Great Heaven State in almost a few hundred years except for the inner hidden sections. The real inner hidden sects rarely appeared before the world, so the people outside didn't know if they had Great Heaven level masters. But the outer hidden sects and the semi-hidden sects, the latest Great Heaven State person would have to be traced back to the beginning of the Ming Dynasty, the old Taoist Zhang Sanfeng. TL note: Zhang Sanfeng is the creator of Tai Chi. Yemo didn't know about these ancient martial arts cultivators who swarmed to his direction with rapid speed. Although he knew that once the blood coral was known to the world, it would cause a frenzy amongst the hidden sects, he didn't expect it to be to this extent. Almost all hidden sects who got news of this swarmed here without hesitation. Yemo didn't know about these ancient martial arts cultivators who swarmed to his direction with rapid speed. Although he knew that once the blood coral was known to the world, it would cause a frenzy amongst the hidden sects, he didn't expect it to be to this extent. Almost all hidden sects who got news of this swarmed here without hesitation. A treasure that granted ascension to Great Heaven State was a fortune. Great Heaven State meant increased lifespan. If you can't reach Great Heaven State, even if you're the peak of Earth level, your lifespan won't increase. And not only did Great Heaven State grant you extra life, once you reached the state, then all of the hidden sects would bow down to you. It's said that in the inner hidden sects, there were many Great Heaven State masters, but this was a legend. No one had seen the inner hidden sect Great Heaven Masters come out and show off. Or perhaps, those who wanted to show off wouldn't even be able to become Great Heaven State. But those who could reach Great Heaven State didn't have time to show off. They were pursuing a higher state. At this moment, Yemo was already tens of meters underground of the backyard of the Cha family. He was only stage 3 Qi gathering and couldn't completely control Earth maneuver. It could only be used when he was in the tertiary stages of Qi gathering. But although he couldn't use that technique, he had a way to save time. There was a deep well in the backyard of the Cha family. Yemo went in it and started digging. The backyard of the Cha family was already bleak. The bottom of the well was even colder and full of yin qi. Ordinary people wouldn't even want to go in. Even though Yemo was a cultivator, he felt it was quite scary at the bottom. The well was very deep, almost 40 to 50 meters. There wasn't much water inside. Yemo stopped at the surface of the water. The water was only 5 to 6 meters deep. Yemo scanned his spirit sense in it. It was a small well, but there were multiple bones. They were all women. Thinking about what Cha Rulung said, Yemo couldn't help feel sorry for these women who went in the Cha family. Their sole function was to reproduce. As long as they raised the kids, their function was over. One could imagine that the women either jumped themselves or were forced down here. This was an unimaginable family. Yemo chose a place on the wall of the well and started digging. Soon, the earth covered the bones. Although Yemo couldn't completely use earth maneuver, he could half use it while digging. After an hour alter, Yemo was already 100 m deep. After 100 meters, Yemo felt the yin qi was getting increasingly stronger. Yemo knew he was getting closer and closer to the yin fiend bead. So he dug faster and faster. Another hour later, Yemo felt light and he came in a space that was like an underground room. Yemo rejoiced. He knew this was where the yin fiend bead was. This was because when the yin fiend bead grew, it would keep pushing away the earth around it until eventually forming a space. This space was the region of the yin fiend bead. The larger this space was, the higher the quality of the yin fiend bead. The space in front of him was a few cubic meters, meaning that this yin fiend bead was definitely extreme quality. Just when Yemo was about to enter the space, this fiend bead felt it. It immediately started flying as though wanting to run away from where Yemo came from. However, Yemo knew the properties of the fiend bead. How could he let something that was in his hands escape? Soon, he enveloped the fiend bead with his spirit chi. A ping-pong ball-sized black bead landed in his hands. The intense fiend chi emitted over. Yemo praised. Was this fiend bead? Although he had heard about it, this was the first time he held it in his hand. He really earned big this time. Yemo knew that he had wasted a few hours already with this bead, so he had to leave quickly. He casually took out a jade box to put it in and inscribed a few seals on it before putting it in his ring. Once he packed it away, the intense fiend chi started to dissipate. Yemo used wind control to quickly go up the well and leave. At this moment, more than 10 figures had landed outside the Cha family houses and had set up a perimeter. As soon as Yemo came up, he noticed the situation outside and cursed. He didn't waste a single bit of time after getting this fiend bead. He had only spent 2 hours, but these people were already here. They were really fast and even got the government involved. This is such an intense fiend place. Since this is a fiend place, there must be a fiend bead. This trip was really worth it. An old man in his 60s stood and said. His face was full of joy and surprise. Yemo was shocked. These people here were all martial artists. How did they know about the fiend bead? It seemed there were masters here too. What should he do? He didn't dare to use his spirit sense to scan this old man. He was sure his power was the strongest he had seen, even stronger than Zhang Zhihui. Even though this old man wasn't great heaven state, he wasn't far from it. If he was stopped by this guy and stalled for time, he would be in danger. Yemo calculated and got this conclusion. If he didn't leave now, it would only get harder and harder later. This was only the first group, and there would be more people. Thinking about this, Yemo didn't hesitate, and used invisibility to climb out of the well and controlled his chi waves while carefully walking out. However, Yemo underestimated an Earth-level peak stage master. He only walked a few meters and that old man noticed something was up. He looked at where Yemo was standing and frowned while raised the sword in his hands. It should be him. Catch him. He has invisibility artifact. At this moment, not only that old man, but the other people also noticed Yemo. A man next to the wall with black level power stabbed to Yemo without hesitation. At this moment, Yemo no longer held back and grabbed out his flying sword. 2 slices, he didn't let the sword fly. The first swing cut the man's long sword in half and the second sword pierced into his throat. This wasn't a time to show mercy. Yemo knew that if he was stopped, no one would have mercy on him. The more he killed now, the greater his hopes of escaping were. Although it was a short moment, Yemo had been stopped again. Seeing Yemo kill one, the old man grunted. Kill him! He's chosen the demonic path, killing immediately. Then, he raised his long sword and pierced at Yemo. The tip of the sword had an inch-long sword ray. Sword ray. Gong martial uncle can use sword ray. That's so amazing. People immediately gasped. Yemo sneered. Although he knew it was hard for martial arts cultivators to cultivate sword ray, but this was nothing in Yemo's eyes. Yemo threw out his flying sword and with a purple ray, it sliced towards the old man's long sword. The long sword was knocked, and not only did the sword ray disappear but the half-inch at the tip was also sliced off. It actually broke my falling rainbow sword? Nice sword. The moment the long sword was broken, the old man's eyes were full of disbelief. But he wasn't mad and instead, he was joyful. His eyes was filled with fervor. A magical sword that can break the falling rainbow sword, even fish intestine sword and Ganjiang Moxie would only be so. I must get this sword. He didn't hide his love for Yemo's sword at all. Although Yemo's sword flew out of his hand, he believed Yemo threw it. He never expected Yemo to control it. The old man actually dumped his sword and closed his hands wanting to catch Yemo's flying sword. You're asking to die? Yemo sneered. This old fart wanted his sword and actually used his hands to catch it. What a hillbilly, he probably didn't even know what spirit control was. He spirit controlled the flying sword. Unless the old man's spirit sense was multiple levels stronger than his, then the old man wouldn't be able to control his sword at all. Slush. Yumo's sword sliced the old man's hand off like tofu and went into his chest without a moment of pause. Yemo breathed easy. He knew the reason that he won so easily was because this old man didn't know what a flying sword was. The other people saw this, and it wouldn't be so easy to kill them again. Gong martial uncle! The other men immediately realized something was wrong. Their martial uncle Gong was pierced, and it seemed to be fatal. His sword is weird. It can attack on itself. Don't worry about he. Hurry up and attack him. This old man used his other hand and all the chi in his body to control Yemo's flying sword. Everyone noticed that Yemo's sword was different, and took out their weapons to attack Yemo without hesitation. Yemo's flying sword was originally going to go attack other people after killing this old man, but it was grabbed by the old man, and this would delay a few seconds. This time was enough for others to attack Yemo. Yemo's heart sunk. This scenario occurred indeed. He used his spirit sense. The flying sword passed through the old man's chest like a comet, spun around and attacked towards the swords that attack him. Earth-level martial artists were much stronger and faster than Black-level. Yemo could easily kill Black-level, but he was having trouble with the surrounded attacks of Earth-levels. Earth-level martial artists were much stronger and faster than Black-level. Yemo could easily kill Black-level, but he was having trouble with the surrounded attacks of Earth-levels. Other than the old man he killed, there were 2 Earth-levels out of the 5 attacking him, and they were both intermediate stage. Although Yemo had summoned back his flying sword, he was still a step slower. The flying sword stopped the 3 but couldn't stop the other 2. Yemo used a wind blade on the Black level while punching the back of the sword of an Earth level. This was just a moment. The Earth level struck back by Yemo retreated a few steps and happened to see Yemo kill that Black level with wind blade. Although he didn't know what projectile Yemo used, but it was obviously very strong. Yemo breathed again and didn't hesitate. He didn't hold back at all, using multiple wind blades while hurling his flying sword quickly at the Earth level he struck back. The moment that Earth level was struck back, he felt Yemo's inner chi wasn't much stronger than his, but his flying sword and that invisible projectile was very strong. Seeing the flying sword come over again, he felt a sliver of fear at the bottom of his heart. He quickly called, "Stop, do you really want to kill everyone? We're from the Hilu sect, one of the 6 big sects of the hidden sections. You offend us and there will be nowhere you can run. You won't even have a place to bury you." As he spoke, he dodged the flying sword again. Yemo's guess was right. Once they knew the properties of the flying sword, it would take longer to kill Earth levels. Yemo used wind blade to kill 2 more, and the remaining one was also Earth level. Those 2 Earth levels obviously knew Yemo's flying sword's properties and started to stick together to deal with Yemo. Yemo had used up a lot of spirit chi and his flying sword was getting slower, and he couldn't do anything to them. At this moment, Yemo's heart was burning with desperation. He had to kill these 2 very rapidly and run. Otherwise, more and more people would come and his chance of escape would grow less. If it wasn't that the hidden sect was too threatening, perhaps the police outside would have come in already. His spirit chi depleted rapidly, and if he didn't waste 2 hours underground, perhaps he would have lasted longer, but now, although the 2 Earth levels were having trouble with his flying sword, he couldn't kill them. This made him desperate. "Stop. Take back your flying sword. If you continue, my sect swears to annihilate your family." The other Earth level didn't know Yemo was low on spirit chi. He only knew that if he continued like this, they would be killed. Although his face was pale, Yemo still sneered and said, "I'm not afraid of threats. Die." Then Yemo spat out a mouth of essence blood. His flying sword accelerated and made a sharp turn, slicing through their necks. Blood spewed like a fountain and the 2 Earth levels died. Yemo stumbled. He burned his essence blood to kill these two and was at the end of his strength. Although the after effects of burning essence blood was great, if he didn't do that, then perhaps he would be the one to die soon. Yemo stumbled forward. He knew if he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to. He scanned his spirit sense out 100 meters and another few cars came. They didn't look like normal men. Yemo quickly picked up the weapons on the ground and resisted the pain of his meridians and threw out a few fireballs, burning the bodies. It would be worth it delaying the Hilu sect knowing their men died. But at the same time, a sense of danger surged from behind his heart. Yemo was unable to make the appropriate dodge because he already dried up his spirit chi. The punch struck right into the back of his heart, and Yemo spat out blood again. He looked back and it was that old man whom he killed first. He had a vicious smile on his mouth. This old thing had a flying sword pierce his heart, but still wasn't dead completely. His life was really tough. Yemo didn't think and threw back a few fireballs, using up almost the rest of his spirit chi. He didn't even dare to look to see if those bodies were burnt. He struggled and climbed over the wall. Although Yemo's invisibility were useless in front of ancient martial arts masters, but it was enough for ordinary people locking down the estate. "I smell blood," Police said strangely. The person beside him immediately made a quiet sign. "This thing isn't ordinary. We should just listen to orders from above. Don't say what you're not meant to say." Yemo was shocked. Although he went invisible, he still couldn't hide the bloody scent from his body. But luckily, these two cops didn't intend on doing anything. He was very tired but still quickly disappeared. As soon as Yemo left, another 7 or 8 martial arts charged into the backyard. "Martial brother, the Hilu sect people came first, right? How come I don't see them?" A nice-looking girl walked around and said with a frowned face. "Did they chase out already?" The middle-aged man who was the martial brother didn't talk, but another youth continued. That middle-aged man closed his eyes and didn't reply. After a moment, he opened his eyes and said, "It's possible, but outside has been locked down by the government. If people went over, there would be news, but there was none. Do you guys smell this burning smell? There does seem to be such smell. There's some blood here." That youth was very meticulous, and quickly found the blood drops on the ground. The middle-aged man squat down and looked. "Search this place and the well immediately." Yemo really wanted to run out of Liangpu, but he knew that he was in a weaker state than a normal person. In order to avoid the blood smell on him, Yemo went to a shopping mall and changed his clothes. Then, he hid in the back of a uta and didn't dare to move. This was because he saw more and more masters rushing into Liangpu. There were even helicopters above his head. A young man wearing earrings came in and carried a box of wine with him. He opened the back door and was prepared to put the wine in. Yemo used his invisibility skill and rushed in to hide. As soon as Yemo went in, this youth was about to close the back compartment of the car. Yemo felt a fit of dizziness and was about to fall asleep. The car started moving. Yemo knew he couldn't fall asleep now. Although he was very fatigued, he knew that the car had been moving for a while and stopped at a highway toll station. There were people checking at the station, but Yemo didn't worry. Although his spirit chi was almost gone, he could still go past the checkpoint. He was scared that these people was also going to flip around the things inside the car. His invisibility could only last a few seconds. But Yemo soon found that he was worrying too much. This young man obviously had his ways. He just yelled a few sentences and the workers there let him go. They didn't even open the back of the car. Yemo felt relieved. It seemed that no matter how strong the hidden sects were, they couldn't control some things. It was obvious that the people working there felt it wasn't a good thing to annoy the youth. They would rather pretend they didn't hear the orders of their superiors than offend this youth who could bring trouble to them at any time. If they didn't do what they were told, they would be fine as no one said anything. But if they annoyed this young master, perhaps they would lose their jobs tomorrow. Yemo actually felt gratitude towards this youth. If it wasn't for this guy, it would be really hard for him to escape Liangpu. Perhaps it was completely in chaos already in Liangpu. The car was on the highway out of Liangpu and Yemo was completely relaxed. The blood coral mattered much more than the blue flower blue leaf grass to these ancient martial artists because blood coral could let them ascend great heaven state. But in Yemo's heart, the blood coral was far less valuable than a mature blue flower blue leaf grass. He could use the blood coral now, but his blue flower blue leaf grass was still immature, so at the current stage, blood coral was still more valuable to Yemo. Yemo started to sleep after relaxing. He had heavy internal injuries and his spirit chi was also depleted. The next time he woke up, he found the car was parked outside a bar. It was dark already. He probably slept for 7 or 8 hours. Yemo scanned his spirit sense around and didn't find anyone suspicious. He packed away the box of wine. Although this kid saved his life, he really didn't have much money now. This wine wasn't bad. He would borrow it for a drink first. Yemo pushed open the door from the back. He ran his spirit chi and there was no reaction. If he didn't sleep, perhaps it would be hard for him to even get up now. That last punch from that old man was too heavy. Yemo stood at the door of the boisterous bar and looked at his ring. There was still around 10k cash. He only had one idea now, and that was to find a safe place to recover and start concocting pills. Yemo stood at the door of the boisterous bar and looked at his ring. There was still around 10k cash. He only had one idea now, and that was to find a safe place to recover and start concocting pills. Originally, if he wasn't exposed, that small yard in Ninghai would be the best, but now, Yemo didn't dare to go there at all. Going there would be running right into a trap. He could only find a place no one knew to hide and concoct pills. The blood coral in his hands was enough to make 3 cauldrons of pills, but Yemo didn't dare to be careless at all. With his current skills, these 3 cauldrons of pills might all be no good. So, he had to find a quiet place, a place that was full of spirit chi. He even needed to wait for a full recovery first. But now, he only had that much money on him, and looking at this place he had never came before, Yemo felt quite lost without his power. "Big brother, do you need help?" A woman with a half-naked breast walked in front of Yemo and asked while crossing her arms on her chest. Her eyes were full of seduction. Although her look was ordinary, under the dim light and covered by cheap perfume, she was kind of sexually attractive. Yemo barely made a smile and shook his head. "No need." Then, he turned to leave. But this woman hadn't given up and stopped him and even said worriedly, "Big brother, I'm really clean. I don't have any diseases. If you don't believe me, you can wear a condom." Yemo frowned and looked at this woman with thick makeup and said again, "I know, but I really don't want to. I'm still busy. Goodbye." This woman looked at Yemo as disappointment and sullenness flashed across her eyes. Although she had to take part in this business, if possible, she still wanted customers who were decent. That young man dressed ordinarily, but his calm temperament made her really want to do business with him. She could even lower the price a little bit. But this youth didn't want her, even he looked not rich. Yemo sighed. There were women like her everywhere. Not like the brothels in Luoyu, they just came out in streets to get customers. He didn't look down on such women. If possible, he believed no one would want to do this career. The woman suddenly bit her mouth and ran up to stop Yemo. "Big brother, I see that you're not very familiar with here. You were looking around. I can help you and satisfy any requests you have. My price isn't high." Yemo looked dazedly at this woman and thought that he did want to find a quiet place to stay. It was going to cost money for an agent, so he might as well let this woman earn some. It would be a little help to her. Plus, if he wanted an agent, he would have to wait till tomorrow and risk exposing himself. Thinking about this, Yemo nodded and said, "Okay, I don't have a place to live now. I want to find a quiet and clean place to live. If you can help me find such a house, I'm willing to pay you. But I'm also poor and don't have much with me. If possible, I will come wait for you here tomorrow." Yemo really didn't have much money. He only had a little more than 10k. In a city like this, living expenses would be at least 3k a month. The woman shook her head. "Big brother, it's fine. I charge little. If you don't have enough money, you can give it to me later after you settle down. You can also look at houses with me tonight. If you agree, then you can move in tomorrow. My place is very close. It's only 2 minutes. Yemo immediately had a good impression of this woman. They say prostitutes are heartless and actors are disloyal. This prostitute could say such words meaning that she longed for friendship and trust. If he could find a place to move in tomorrow, he could start doing his own things earlier. Plus, Yemo didn't want to go find a house in the middle of the day. It could be said that this woman's suggestion was just what he wanted. It was possible that this might be a setup, but he really didn't mind. Although he couldn't attack, he didn't mind using some fireball charms. Not far away from the bar parked a normal car. In it, 2 policemen stared at Yemo and that woman. They saw the 2 leave the bar and they quickly followed. After this is done, our mission for this month is over. Next month, I really don't want to capture these people anymore. It's disgusting to look at. All they talk about is money. This is completely a disgusting money and meat trade. The young policewoman said to that policeman. That policeman laughed. You'll understand in the future. People love apprehending sex trade the most. Not only is it safe, but it improves your track record fast while getting good pay. Plus, we all love. Stop being disgusting. That policewoman stopped the man's words. Although she wasn't in the police department for long, she knew what her male colleagues was thinking about. They were no better than that man. After a while, she muttered to herself, I want to enter the major crime squad. The policewoman meant her words. Usually, it was policemen who swept for sex trade. There were rarely any policewomen. She wanted to enter the major crime squad, but she had no experience. So she had no right to enter. Thus, she came here for experience. After this month, it would be over. However, there was one point that her colleague was right about. Sweeping for sex trade was a highly efficient way of earning good records. If it was before Yemo was injured, he would have noticed someone follow him with his spirit sense. But now, he was too heavily injured and his spirit chi was almost depleted. He didn't dare to scan around his spirit sense. Plus, he just arrived at a new city, and he didn't believe there would be someone to follow him. I have a good friend who is doing properties in Huiyan City. I can get a lot of info on properties, so don't worry about it. I can find a place you like. The woman was afraid Yemo wouldn't believe her, so she kept reassuring to Yemo. Yemo didn't really want to talk. For him, it was enough to find a suitable place to live. He didn't care where the woman got her info from. Seeing Yemo not talk, the woman thought Yemo didn't believe her, so she quickly said, We also need to change places frequently, so we also need housing information. Yemo dazed. Why did they keep changing places? But before Yemo spoke, the woman continued, We're here. My few friends and I all live here. There's internet inside, I'll show you and you'll know. Yemo followed this woman to a room on the 2nd floor. The woman closed the door and walked in to open the computer while saying, You sit for a while. We can get the housing information for you immediately. Yemo was very happy with the way this woman did things. It was better the faster for Yemo. I found it. Come look which one suits you. The woman was very fast. Yemo stood up, but he didn't walk to the computer. Instead, he opened the door suddenly. He sneered to the 2 police officers outside the door. You guys really are the servants of the citizens, standing outside to watch for us for free. That young policewoman blushed and immediately switched to a disgusted expression, sneering. Stop acting innocent, I suspect you to be involved in sex trade. Fuck off, if you dare to say anything I'll report you immediately. Which eye did you see me in sex trade? Oh, did you send yourself here to me for sex trade? Sorry, I'm not interested in you. I will count to 3. If you still stay here, I will report you immediately. If you don't believe me, you can try. Yemo felt unlucky. These people were so bored that they did such pointless things. If he wasn't afraid of things getting big, he would have kicked over already. You! This policewoman's face was pale with anger and was about to attack. Yemo was waiting for her to attack. If she did, he would teach her a lesson immediately. Although he didn't have spirit chi, he could still take on 2 cops. John Fong, let's go. That policeman looked once at Emo and pulled the policewoman away. But before they left, she said to Emo, "Don't fall in my hands next time." "Very well, indeed, don't fall in my hands next time." Emo sneered. This policewoman was quite angered by Emo, but she knew she had no evidence. Today, she really didn't understand what happened. From past experience, sex traders usually got in bed straight away. Who would wait for a while and open the door? Even if we didn't catch him, there's no need to be afraid of him. Why are we going? That Zhang Feng was still unhappy. This policeman was obviously more experienced than Zhang Feng. He said helplessly, "It's our wrong to be standing at their door without catching him. If he sued, it would be us to suffer. For ordinary people, I wouldn't let you go, but did you see that man? Not only were his eyes cold, but he wasn't afraid at all. That meant that he had power behind him to support him. We're just little policemen. Anything can bring us down. But since this person already has an authority background, he still comes for prostitutes on the streets, no class at all." The woman who was looking at houses saw the 2 policemen and was immediately scared pale, but she didn't expect Emo to actually frighten off the 2 policemen. "Hurry up and find a room. It's best if I can move in tonight." Emo hurried. "The housing info is here, you can come and have a look." At this moment, the woman reacted and started to feel reverence towards Emo. People in their profession feared police investigation the most, and this youth in front of her actually yelled the police away. He must not be an ordinary person. "The housing info is here, you can come and have a look." At this moment, the woman reacted and started to feel reverence towards Emo. People in their profession feared police investigation the most, and this youth in front of her actually yelled the police away. He must not be an ordinary person. Emo walked in front of the computer and saw there were large amounts of housing info. He clicked open one of them. There were pictures and descriptions. Most of these houses were quite cheap, and a lot of them were in densely populated areas. Emo frowned. He wasn't happy with these houses. However, lucky that there were a lot of options. Emo looked down and soon found one that was very suitable for him. Lakeside Villa. This real estate was very large and didn't seem to have been completely constructed. There was an open space all around, and there were only 2 isolated buildings far apart from each other in it. Other than the 2, the rest of the places were empty space with weeds. In such a busy city, he didn't expect there to be such a large patch of empty land. Looking at the images, he knew that it wasn't empty for a day or 2. But since the construction hadn't been finished, there should be construction equipment nearby, but there was none. This made Emo feel very strange. The 2 buildings were both 12 stories high, and one of them didn't seem to be finished as well. The completed one was the building on the left, and in front it, there was a man-made lake. It was very quiet and good for cultivation. Plus, the rent price was very cheap there. It was less than 2K a month. Only levels 1 to 8 had been completely decorated, and Emo found that there were a lot of empty rooms. "I'll take this one. Since level 9 isn't open, I'll live at level 8. Room 802. Emo pointed at the room he wanted and said to the woman, "Huh? You want to live at Lakeside Villa?" The woman looked troubled at Emo. Emo immediately asked, "What's wrong? Has the place been rented out already? It clearly says there are a lot of empty rooms. What's wrong?" "No, it's not that." The woman quickly waved her hand. "It's because the left building isn't clean, and there were often stories of haunting. After a few owners moved in, their families died. Then, they just had to move out. They couldn't even sell it out. This resulted in the construction of the second building unable to be finished. Those who live in this house are all outsiders. Some don't know the buildings are haunted, and some just want rooms for the cheap price. However, many people who have lived in there for a long time would experience all sorts of problems. Now, there are less and less people living in there." "Haunted?" Emo repeated, but soon said, I will live there. If you can help me get it ready tonight, this 1K is yours. Then, Guillermo took out 1K and put it on the table. He wasn't even afraid of ghost cultivators. Why would he be scared of haunting building? Guillermo originally thought there was no ghost in this world, but he met one at Shinongjia. Although he wasn't sure if it was a ghost, those spirits that formed naturally were way too weak to him. He could kill countless with one fireball. And he had spirit sense, so he wasn't worried about not seeing them. Since it was haunted, it meant less people came here, and that would be better for him. Huh? The woman looked at the 1K on the table and was immediately touched. She only earned 1 to 200 a night taking in customers. She originally just wanted 200, but Guillermo just took out 1K. It could be seen that he wasn't poor and was quite generous. Okay, I'll contact them immediately. The woman nodded without hesitation. She already said what she needed to say. Since Guillermo still wanted to go in, there was nothing she could do. Guillermo nodded and said, I need to remind you. I like peace. If I know that you have been going around telling everyone I moved there, then don't blame me for what will happen. The woman quickly nodded. She wouldn't want to offend someone like Guillermo at all. He had to admit that this woman was quite fast. It had only been an hour or so, and she already contacted her friend and took Guillermo to the place. He handed in 4 months of rent with 1 month being bond. It could be seen that the owner also really wanted to rent the place out, fearing that a day late would result in otherwise. Despite so, Guillermo was quite thankful of the woman who found him this place. She could tell him the bad sides of the building, meaning that in the depth of her heart, she was quite kind. Lakeside Villa was just as what Guillermo saw in the picture. It was a large open ground with a man-made lake. Although the surrounding was busy, but this place was quite quiet. Guillermo closed the door and studied his place. The living room was very large and there were 3 bedrooms, 1 kitchen and 1 washroom. Everything was furbished with matching furnitures. There just wasn't quilt. There was dust due to long time of desolation. Guillermo waved his hand using a cleaning magic and made the house clean all of a sudden. He came to the main bedroom and stood on the balcony. There were green and red lights out and the view was rather open. However, such a good apartment couldn't be sold due to haunting. Guillermo shook his head, but apparently the haunting was on the 9th floor, so everything above it had been shut. After sitting down and resting, Guillermo scanned his spirit sense out. He wasn't the only one living in this building. Those living on level 1 and 2 were elderly, and the 2 levels apparently had been moderated to a seniors' care center. The 3rd level was a dining hall. In the 4th level lived 2 families. By the looks of them, they did businesses. There was only a small office on the 5th floor, but there was no one there. The 7th and 6th floor were empty. In the 8th floor he was the only resident who just moved in today. No one lived here before. Each level could fit 2 families. Guillermo scanned his spirit sense but didn't find anything unclean. He ate a few recovery pills and spent the night meditating and managed to recover a little. That old man's last punch was so hard that he probably needed a month to fully recover. He paid 3 months' rent. The first month, he would recover, the second month concoct pills, and the third month start going for chi gathering middle stage. A night passed, and Guillermo stood up refreshed. Although the inner wounds affected his mobilization of chi, but his body didn't have any major problems. The rest of the recovery was only a matter of time. Guillermo checked his wallet. He only had around 2K left. However, that was enough for him. He didn't dare to make any calls now before he had the ability to protect himself. He wouldn't trust anyone. Who knew if Han Zixing would be listening to his call? Plus, he never even did what he promised Han Zixing. Guillermo walked down the stairs, and after going by the 4th level, 2 men were dragging a big bag. Guillermo scanned. There were clothes and things inside. It seemed they were doing clothing business. The 2 men were dragging the bag, and Guillermo, who suddenly came downstairs, scared them. They looked at Guillermo, not even daring to talk. Guillermo laughed helplessly and said, "Don't worry, I moved in upstairs last night. I used the elevator so you guys don't know. We'll be neighbors from now on." He knew what the 2 were afraid of. There were too many tales about this building, and there had been no one living upstairs before. And now, one suddenly coming down, they had no reason not to be scared. But hearing Yimo's words, the two were overjoyed. To them, the more people living here, the better. After a simple conversation, Yimo knew that they were doing clothing business and were actually from two families. The chubby man was called Han Sitsai, the slimmer man was called Kai Jinyu. They both came from Zhejiang to do business here. When they first moved in, they didn't know about the situation here either, but when they knew it, they had lived here fine for a few months. They liked the good environment here and the cheap price, so they didn't move away. Yemo ate something and then bought some daily commodities before going back to his home. His main goal now was to recover. This place was quiet indeed. People from downstairs never came up. Even the two people from the 5th floor in the office never came up, and they always finished work on time, and never did any overtimes. They usually left at 5 p.m. People downstairs gradually knew that a young man lived on the 8th floor. Although they didn't know why he had such guts, no one came and said anything to him. They only knew that the young man would get up very early to exercise outside and then eat breakfast before coming back. He would stay at home then until the next day. Then he would come out early again. Yemo liked this environment a lot. A week later, his wounds were considerably better. With this speed, perhaps he could recover in less than a month. This was the 9th day Yemo had moved in, and just after he finished cultivating and was prepared to sit on the balcony, he suddenly heard this knocking sound on the floorboard above. It had a rhythm to it, and stopped after a few knocks before sounding again. Yemo immediately stood up. He knew there was no one above, and even the stairs were shut. The elevator also stopped no more higher than the 8th floor. In that case, where did the sound come from? Yemo scanned his spirit sense out immediately but found out that upstairs was completely empty. Other than some dust-covered furnitures, there was nothing. Yemo carefully looked through every corner but still didn't find anything. He scanned his spirit sense up to level 10 and even to 12 but still wasn't able to find anything. However, that knocking sound disappeared. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out immediately but found out that upstairs was completely empty. Other than some dust-covered furnitures, there was nothing. Yemo carefully looked through every corner but still didn't find anything. He scanned his spirit sense up to level 10 and even to 12 but still wasn't able to find anything. However, that knocking sound disappeared. Yemo smiled plainly. He didn't care too much about such things. No matter what was doing strange things above him, it was fine as long as it didn't mess with him. If it did, then he would incinerate this thing even if he had to chase it to the ends of the earth. One night passed quickly, but Yemo had no interest of going upstairs to look. Even if it was a ghost cultivator, he wouldn't care if he wasn't involved. Yemo just opened the door and saw the female owner of this place who brought him here last time bring in another tenant. The landlord saw Yemo and nodded happily. Yemo just moved in for a week and the second room on her level 8 apartment building was rented out. The price was almost twice that of Yemo's. Other than him, there was someone else who was going to rent here. Yemo scanned this tenant, and it was actually a woman, a young girl that wasn't even 20. Such a young girl came to rent a haunted house. Yemo was shocked, but this young girl looked very fresh and gave people a sense of lively and smart feel. With her long hair and white dress, she seemed very eye-catchy. But soon Yemo understood. Although this girl wasn't even 20 yet, she was already in yellow level intermediate stage. This was very rare. Usually those with good talent reach yellow level middle stage at around 25 to 26. Most were over 30, but this girl was in her teens. No wonder she wasn't scared of the haunted house. She was an ancient martial arts cultivator. Yemo immediately became vigilant. There was rarely any martial arts cultivators in the city, but now, he saw one and she lived next door. Did this girl come for the bloody coral? That isn't right. He robbed the blood coral and opened a carnage. If she really came for the blood coral, her sect shouldn't just send a little yellow level middle stage girl for him. She was a loli. The landlord really knew how to talk and said to Yemo, Moing, you and Luo Xian will be neighbors from now. You need to look after your new neighbor. Of course Yemo knew what the landlord meant. The landlord tricked this pretty little girl here and was just leaving her after taking the rent. She told him to look after her. From this, it could be seen that the landlord wasn't bad to the bones, but she was quite bad. He could imagine that if this girl wasn't an ancient martial arts cultivator and lived here by herself, perhaps she would be scared to death by that knocking sound at night. If some ghosts really came, she wouldn't even be able to live. But Yemo knew this girl wasn't so simple. She reached yellow level middle stage at such a young age and her inner chi was rather abundant. She wasn't someone to be easily messed with. She definitely wasn't tricked here by the landlord, perhaps she had some motives. He needed to be careful of this little girl. Yemo smiled but didn't say anything. He greeted the landlord and went downstairs. As expected, when this girl heard the landlord's words, a sliver of contempt flashed across her eyes, but she didn't say anything. Then, she immediately frowned and sighed. It seemed her character really wasn't good enough. If she was, then she shouldn't have felt contempt but nothing instead. So what if this person could look after her? Why did she look down on ordinary people? Yemo drank soy milk beside the Chun and Uni every morning. The soy milk here was tasty and cheap. Yemo really liked it. Every morning, he would have a few bean buns and a bowl of soy milk, and then go back to cultivate. This life made Yemo feel very serene. If he didn't have so much troubling things, he would rather live like this forever, but he knew it was impossible. Still had so many enemies to deal with, and even after he was done with them, he needed to find spiritful things to cultivate. He really didn't want to live a boring life and die. Yemo didn't leave as soon as he finished breakfast. He sat for a while more and mobilized his chi. It felt good. Perhaps in another week, he would recover completely. Why did she come? Yemo looked up and saw that girl who just moved in come into this soy milk place. She asked for a bowl of soy milk and 2 bean paste buns. She sat down and saw Yemo opposite her. This girl smiled gently but didn't say anything. Yemo stood up. He was prepared to leave, but before he left, 2 youths came into this shop. One of them was actually the young master with an earring. It was he who brought Yemo out of Liangpa. Although he didn't know what he did, Yemo was very grateful. This young master obviously didn't come to drink soy milk. He walked up to the girl straight away and looked at her in shock until the girl started to frown. Then, this youth was like a drooling pig and sat down in front of her. Pretty girl, hello. I'm Wu Jinjuan. I saw you once at Kiyuni yesterday, and it was like meeting a goddess. I originally thought I would never be able to see you today, but I didn't expect to meet you here. We're really fated to meet again. The youth wanted to act scholarly and poetic, but his words and his outfit was completely opposite. It was quite funny. The girl frowned. Sorry, I don't know you. Please move aside. It's fine, it's fine. First time strangers, second time friends. Wu Jinjuan waved his hand and said. The girl stood up abruptly and said coldly, If you don't move aside, then don't blame me for what's going to happen. Wu Jinjuan quickly said, That's fine. Do what you want to do. I just really want to know you. We can talk outside. There are too many people here. Then, he was going to grab the girl's hand. It was unknown if that was intentional. Yemo shook his head, thinking this young was Boldanuge. But from this, it could be seen that this Wu Jinjuan had some background, otherwise he wouldn't be starting to drag a girl in public. As expected, this girl with one kick kicked Wu Jinjuan out far away. Wu Jinjuan smashed on the ground with a bloody nose. But this girl didn't stop there. She was going to step on him. Yemo knew that if she stepped on him, perhaps this Wu young master would have inner wounds for the rest of his life. Those who cultivated ancient martial arts really didn't care about the lives of normal people, and neither did this spiritful-looking girl. Yemo immediately went in front of Wu Jinjuan and stopped the girl, saying, He didn't touch you and you've already kicked him. Let it go. Why are you still going to beat him? Yemo owed Wu Jinjuan. Although Wu Jinjuan didn't know, it was not okay to beat Wu Jinjuan in front of him. He stopped this girl, and if she really was still going to attack, then he wouldn't be so polite anymore. When Emo stopped the girl, everyone in the soy milk shop froze, and so did the girl in front of him. Although she didn't really talk with the neighbor, but she was a girl and the one being harassed. This man actually went to help the young master instead. Did even he have any conscience? Or was it that this man wanted to suck up to the rich young master that he was being so shameless in public? Wu Jinjuan immediately knew he met a tough one. The youth who came with Wu Jinjuan quickly helped Wu Zihinjuan up, but didn't dare to look for trouble with this pretty girl. Although he was a hoodlum, he wasn't dumb and knew he would get bashed, so he immediately picked up the phone and was about to call people. The girl looked coldly at Emo but didn't continue the attack. Just when she was prepared to leave, a police car stopped in front of the soy milk shop. It seemed some people feared the girl would be harassed, and as soon as Wu Jinjuan came, someone called the police. He didn't expect the police to come this fast. 2 police officers came quickly, and Emo immediately recognized one of them. It was that woman who was sweeping for sex trade. He heard the male police call her Zhang Feng. He didn't expect to meet her today. It's you again? The one who bought sex was you, and the one having public brawls is also you. What's your excuse now? That policewoman looked at Emo with disgust. Hearing the policewoman's words, that pretty girl looked at Emo in disgust and turned to leave. Emo smiled to the policewoman. Did I use your money to buy sex? Does it have anything to do with you? I like visiting hookers, so what? Brawling? Which eye did you see me brawling with? You want to be police with your level of skills? Don't make me laugh. You! Zhang Feng was going to rage again. But the cop who came with her quickly stopped her and looked coldly at Emo. But before he spoke, he recognized Wu Jinjuan, who stood behind Emo. This policeman's face changed immediately, but immediately returned to a smile. He walked in front of Wu Jinjuan and said, Young Master Jun, don't worry. Did this kid attack you? I'll take him away immediately. Shut up. Wu Jinjuan interrupted him and said to Emo, Thank you, brother. I didn't expect this spicy chick to be so harsh. If it wasn't you, I really would be suffering now. The policeman dazed. He didn't think Emo was actually helping Wu Jinjuan, but he immediately understood. Although he admired Emo's foresight, he wished he could kick Emo aside. Zhang Feng looked at Emo in contempt. This man was bad to the bones. She had understood that the one who attacked was the girl. She didn't expect this lustful man was also a fawn. It's nothing, Emo said casually and immediately walked out of the soy milk shop. He had no interest in being connected with a young master like Wu Jinjuan. He only helped this time because Wu Jinjuan helped him. Seeing Emo walk out of the soy milk shop, Wu Jinjuan raised his thumb and yelled at the back. Brother, next time you want a woman, come find me. I promise to take you to a place you'll be satisfied with. That police listened awkwardly to Wu Jinjuan's words but was helpless. When Emo came back home, he immediately started treating his wounds with qi. Emo didn't know at all why this girl called Luo Xian came here, but her arrival gave Emo a sense of anxiousness. He must recover his strength quickly. He had a feeling that the girl wasn't by herself. Perhaps she had a few companions. She came here for something. When Emo came back home, he immediately started treating his wounds with qi. Emo didn't know at all why this girl called Luo Xian came here, but her arrival gave Emo a sense of anxiousness. He must recover his strength quickly. He had a feeling that the girl wasn't by herself. Perhaps she had a few companions. She came here for something. After a few meridian cycles, Emo opened his eyes. He felt his wounds were better once again. He nodded and stood up with satisfaction. He looked outside and the sky was getting dark. There was the sound of opening door from his neighbor. Emo scanned his spirit sense out and knew that Luo Xian girl had come back. He was very curious about where she came from and scanned his spirit sense into Luo Xian's room. With his current power, it was hard for Luo Xian to notice his spirit sense. Once he reached Qi gathering middle stage, even normal earth levels wouldn't be able to find his spirit sense. But soon Yemo was dazed. Luo Xian was actually a nun. When she opened the luggage case, there were a few sets of nun clothes. There were so many nuns nowadays even in the city? But Yemo was more certain that Luo Xian was probably the disciple of some sect, quite possibly a hidden sect. Yemo grew more careful. Was it too dangerous for him that Luo Xian was a hidden sect student? But he didn't want to change place. He finally found such place that was suitable for cultivation and concocting pills. He thought for a long time and was sure that Luo Xian didn't come here for him. She must have come here for something else. In another week, his wounds would recover, and even if something happened, he could run away. When Luo Xian was packing things, Yemo noticed a large pile of books. It seemed that Luo Xian was really studied at Kiyuni. Yemo kept his spirit sense on Luo Xian and found that after Luo Xian finished packing, she took some clothes and went into the bathroom. It seemed that she was going for a shower. Yemo didn't follow in with his spirit sense. He wasn't interested in watching a loli take a shower. Yemo took back his spirit sense and started to cultivate. A few hours later, Yemo heard another knocking at the top of the building. He stood up and his spirit sense scanned on Luo Xian. Luo Xian also heard the knocking on the 9th floor. She wasn't as calm as Yemo and stood up abruptly. It seemed she was also meditating before. Yemo found her face was a bit pale. Although she was yellow-level middle-stage ancient martial artist, she was still scared facing against such uncertainty. Yemo laughed to himself. Weren't nuns and monks supposed to catch ghosts? But she was scared hearing knocking sounds. Yemo saw her walk to the balcony, probably to close the window. However, Yemo didn't expect that she actually went onto the balcony and crawled to the 9th floor. Yemo couldn't help to compliment her courage. She dared to go up to the 9th floor in the middle of the night to hunt ghosts. She did her job as a nun. Who's putting on that act? Come out now! Luo Xian pulled out a long sword from her waist and yelled. Yemo immediately kept his spirit sense beside her. He also wanted to see what this knocking sound was from. Was it human or ghost? But it wasn't likely that it was human because Yemo didn't find anything with his spirit sense last night. The 9th floor was in complete silence. That knocking sound also disappeared with Luo Xian's arrival. Luo Xian grabbed the long sword and walked into the living room step by step. Yemo looked at her face and knew her anxiety. Suddenly, Yemo saw Luo Xian's long sword slice out without a notice while her body retreated rapidly a few steps and soon went back on the balcony, but she didn't stop. It seemed as though she was knocked back by something. Yemo was shocked. Was it something his spirit sense couldn't see? Yemo immediately realized that his wounds influenced the strength of his spirit sense. Thinking about this, Yemo condensed his spirit sense and scanned. Although the range was much smaller, but Yemo did find a faint black shadow charging to Luo Xian. There really was a Yin spirit? How could this be? If it was, then it would be much stronger than the one at Shenongjia. But soon Yemo knew that those attacks didn't do too much damage to Luo Xian. At most, it just made her scared. Then, Luo Xian came down from the 9th floor. Just when Yemo was wondering if he should help her, Luo Xian tapped on the balcony of the 8th floor with her foot and rushed into her room. From her agility, it seemed her qinggong was really good. However, that faint shadow didn't pursue and disappeared on the 9th floor. Just when Yemo wanted to search for it again, he couldn't find it. Yemo wasn't in a rush. When his wounds recovered, nothing would be able to hide. Yemo's spirit sense came back and fell onto Luo Xian. She sat in her room with a pale face, but she took out a jade vase and took out a pill to eat. Her face started to look better. Then Yemo saw her take a peach tree wood sword and hung it on the door, and then started to recover in meditation. Although this girl was only yellow-level middle stage, she was quite brave. However, Yemo wondered how she saw the ghost thing. Yemo didn't believe she had spirit sense. A night passed. The next morning Yemo got up and cleansed himself. His door was knocked. Yemo dazed. He had been here for 2 weeks and no one even came nearby his place. Who would knock on his door? Yemo scanned out his spirit sense and immediately found Luo Xian at the door. Yemo opened the door and studied Luo Xian from head to toe. Her complexion seemed fine but seemed a little fatigued from the events last night. As though seeing Yemo was fine, Luo Xian's eyes flashed across an almost unperceivable relief. Then she looked at Yemo, who blocked the doorway, and said, "We're neighbors, and the landlord also told you to take care of me. Aren't you going to invite me in for a seat?" Yemo didn't understand what her intentions were, but since she already said this, he could only open the door and say, "Then, please come in and have a seat." Luo Xian smiled and Yemo sighed to himself. This girl was almost as good as Ning Qingxue in looks. No wonder when young Master Wu saw her, he was like a drooling pig. Thinking about Qingxue, a sliver of morose flashed across Yemo's eyes. He didn't want to think about her again, but he couldn't help it sometimes. Yemo then thought about Luoing and wondered how she was doing. When he was stage 4 Qi gathering, he could step on the flying sword and search for her. As though seeing the sadness in Yemo's eyes, Luo Xian had some shock in her eyes but soon recovered and sat down. She casually looked around Yemo's house and said, "I'm Luo Xian. I'm studying at Kuyuni. We're neighbors now. I still don't know what you're called." "I'm Emoing, a jobless nomad." "Oh, perhaps I will go out to find a job in a while." Yemo saw that strange look in Luo Xian's eyes and felt uncomfortable, so he explained. He was going to find a job, just not now. As though seeing what Yemo thought, Luo Xian didn't put down Yemo obviously. She thought she knew what sort of a person Yemo was. To be honest, a lazy person and liked to find prostitute. She smiled and was not interested in bullshitting with Yemo and said straight up, "I heard it's unclean here. Did you live here for a long time? Coming here to find info?" Yemo smiled and knew Luo Xian's intentions. But he had no news for her and said, "I only moved here less than a month ago." Yemo wasn't sure if this girl was here to investigate, so he said an obscure timeline. This girl seemed astute and perhaps she would know something if he told her the real time. But obviously, Yemo was thinking too much. Luo Xian asked again, "You've lived here for so long. Have you observed anything or heard any strange noises?" Yemo shook his head cluelessly and said, "I don't know about that. Each day, I just drop on the bed and sleep. Why would I even care about that? Have you not heard that this house is haunted? It's said that because a few people died here, this apartment could not be sold out nor rented out." Luo Xian didn't seem to be satisfied with Yemo's attitude and used the haunting to try to scare him. Yemo stretched his arms and said in a whatever attitude, "I'm poor and lazy. Even if there was a ghost, it wouldn't come for me. Plus, teachers taught us not to be superstitious. I didn't even go to uni and I know this. You are going to uni, but you're still so superstitious. Little sister, it's not easy for the country to train a uni student. Don't be so superstitious, please. You." Luo Xian stood up in anger, but her anger soon disappeared. She looked at Yemo and smiled. "You sucked up to a young master yesterday. You won't be poor in the future. Although you're not superstitious, but my hometown has the customs and stories of ghosts. Hang this peach tree wood sword on the bedroom door. Perhaps it will be good for you." Yemo frowned. He felt something was wrong with this little girl. He wasn't very friendly to her, but she still gave him this. What were her intentions? Yemo frowned. Why did he feel something wasn't right with this little girl? He wasn't very friendly to her, but she still gave him a peachwood sword. Yemo frowned. Why did he feel something wasn't right with this little girl? He wasn't very friendly to her, but she still gave him a peachwood sword. Seeing as though Yemo didn't quite believe her, Luo Xian, seemingly angry, dumped the peachwood sword and left. Yemo thought, did he think wrongly of her? Girls were soft-hearted after all. Was she really trying to protect him? Yemo picked up the peachwood sword and scanned it with his spirit sense. Immediately he sneered. He understood what was going on. This wasn't a peachwood sword at all. It was a sword made from black dyewood. Black dyewood was very rare, but Yemo knew it attracted ghosts. This wood grew in places with extreme yin qi and also contained yin fian qi. The low-level ghost cultivators in the cultivation realm liked using this material to cultivate. Now that this girl gave this to him, the intentions were obvious. She wanted to use this to attract the ghost to his room. Although he didn't know why, Yemo was sure the intentions weren't good. However, Yemo didn't think she wanted to harm him. If she did, killing him would be so much easier in her opinion. There was no need to attract the ghost with the black dye wood. However, Yemo wouldn't naively think that she wanted to get the thing down and annihilate it. If that was the case, she would hang it in her room, not his. No matter what, Yemo wasn't going to take it. He took this and really wanted to hang this on her room and even wanted to hang his Yin Fiend bead there. With the Yin Fiend bead there, all sorts of ghosts and spirits would rush there. But Yemo didn't want to do this. It wasn't because he didn't want her to get scared, but he didn't want to use the Yin Fiend bead. What did she want to do? Yemo scanned his spirit sense out. Luo Xian sat in her room and drank some water while talking to herself. Your fault for being such a bad person, I'll scare you this once. But you're also helping me out. When I get the ghost down, I will annihilate it. Otherwise, I'm really scared by myself. Although Yemo's attention was very focused, he couldn't really hear what she said. She seemed to have said something about being scared. Did she want to annihilate the ghosts but didn't dare to do it herself, so she purposely put the black dye wood in his room, and when the ghost came, she would come and help. With him being there, she would be braver? If that was the case, then this was too funny. Yemo didn't know that his guess was spot on. Luo Xian thought this exactly. Although she was a yellow-level middle-stage ancient martial arts cultivator, she was still a girl. And because she faced the evil spirit alone last night, and almost fell to her death. If her Qigong wasn't good, perhaps she would have died already. So today, she wanted Yemo to be by the side to bolden her. And Yemo was a man, he had strong yang qi. This would lower the ghost's power. Yemo thought for a long time and couldn't decide on anything, so he casually dumped the black dye wood aside and went out to eat breakfast. Yemo rarely took the elevator, he liked to walk down along the stairs. Usually, when he passed the 4th level, he would see Han Sitsai and Kai Jingyu and have a chat, but today when he passed the 4th floor, he saw the two moving things in a hurry. There were 2 women and a few kids helping out. Were they moving? Yemo thought and asked. Are you 2 moving away? Han Sitsai saw Yemo and quickly came over. Emoing brother, did nothing happen at your floor last night? Yemo subconsciously shook his head and said, What thing? Nothing? But as soon as he finished, he remembered Luo Xian going upstairs last night. But Han Sitsai shouldn't be able to know such a thing. Han Sitsai looked around carefully, and then whispered by Yemo's ear. Emo brother, you need to move out quickly. That ghost came again last night. There's a small office at the 5th floor. For the first time, the boss stayed over and didn't leave. In the morning, we found his dead body in the office. This building is very evil. Lao Kai and I are leaving today. People died at the 5th level? No wonder when he came down, there seemed to be less people. Did that thing come down last night? Yemo frowned. He decided to go up and have a look tonight. If there really was something unclean, then he would destroy it. If people died a lot, then police would come frequently, and that would disturb his peaceful life. Yemo agreed and was no longer in the mood to say anything to them. He went to the soy milk shop and called for a cup. Then, Luo Xian came. Yemo didn't expect this woman to sit opposite him again, and also asked for a cup of soy milk and 2 bean buns. Yemo really wanted that Wu young master to come and piss this little nun off again, but he didn't see any signs of him. It seemed that this Luo Xian had some power, and used some ways to make this young master unable to come to her. Seeing Yemo ignore her and just eat, Luo Xian could only say, Although I gave you the peachwood sword, if anything happens at night, you need to call for me to help. Do you know someone died today at the 5th floor? I heard it's. Yemo drank the cup of soy milk empty and interrupted her. Do you know you're really annoying? What's my life or death got to do with you? I don't need you to worry about me. I'm going. You. Luo Xian stood up in anger and looked at Emo. She resisted her disgust for this guy and came to talk to him, but he still used that attitude to her. If it wasn't for the thing upstairs, she wouldn't want to say one word in front of Emo at all. She had decided to make sure this guy was scared shitless before she would go over. He was too annoying. Luo Xian. A girl ran over and saw Emo standing opposite her. A sliver of surprise flashed across her eyes, but she quickly stood by Luo Xian and whispered something to her ears. Luo Xian stood up immediately and didn't even have time to drink the soy milk and left in a hurry with the girl. Emo scanned the girl. She was probably a normal student. There was no inner chi waves on her. However, he wondered what news that Luo Xian heard that made her leave in such a hurry. Although Emo didn't want to be bothered with Luo Xian, since she messed with him and lived next door, Emo wanted to go investigate and see exactly what she wanted. After returning, Emo cultivated for a while and took out the remaining few snow lotus seeds. If only he had a lotus life pill now. His wounds would recover immediately. Pity he had used up the 3 lotus life pills. Although he still had 1,000-year snow lotus, it wasn't so easy to concoct it into lotus life pill. Last time, he wasted almost half the ingredients. Now that he was injured, the success must be scarily low. If he wasted a few more snow lotus seeds, then it would be hard to find more. Emo took a lotus leaf and thought about it before eventually putting it in his mouth and chewing it. The leaf was good for concocting pills, but it still had a large amount of impurities. When he was just injured, he didn't dare to eat it because he didn't have that much chi to refine the impurities. But now, his wounds were going to recover in 2 days. Although he can refine the impurities, he didn't want to waste the lotus leaf for that. After all, it was the same if he recovered 2 days earlier or later. But due to this uncertain factor, Luo Xian, Emo didn't even dare to drag things on for a single day. Although the leaf wasn't as good as the lotus life seed in recovery, the effects were obvious for Yemo's almost recovered wounds. It was only 6 hours and Yemo had not only fully recovered but his power also grew a little. His spirit sense could reach up to 150 radius. Yemo ran his chi through another big meridian cycle and 12 small meridian cycles before standing up with a fresh spirit. Now that his wounds were gone, he could start concocting pills. But before that, Yemo still had to do something. He had to destroy whatever was upstairs as he felt this thing was affecting him. Yemo originally thought that since Luo Xian gave the black dyewood sword to him, she would come back at night to catch the ghost. But it was almost 10 p.m., but there was no sound from next door. This Luo Xian actually didn't come back tonight. Yemo's face went cold. It seemed this woman really wanted him to die. If it was a normal person with the black dyewood hanging in the room with a ghost above, how can he live? This woman's heart was much more cruel than her looks. At 10 p.m., sound came from upstairs again. This time, it wasn't a knocking sound but footsteps. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out. He found that the lift that stayed at the 8th floor went up and was about to reach the top level. This is quite interesting, Yemo sneered. He jumped on the balcony and went to the 9th floor. He wouldn't crawl onto the balcony like Luo Xian. One wind control technique, and he was standing on the balcony of the 9th floor. Under the dim moonlight, there were clear footprints on the balcony. Yemo at first thought they were left behind by Luo Xian last night. But soon Yemo realized something was wrong because there were footprints along beside Luo Xian's. However, the footprints appeared very suddenly and walked to the window before disappearing. The footprints were larger than Luo Xian's but were still clearly a woman's. Who was she? In a broken-down Taoist temple, 3 women and 1 man gathered here. If Yemo was here, he would recognize that one of them was Luo Xian. In a broken-down Taoist temple, 3 women and 1 man gathered here. If Yemo was here, he would recognize that one of them was Luo Xian. Originally, we had half a year, but now, we probably can't wait for half a year. I'm prepared to go back with my 2 younger martial sisters. Older martial brother Qi, are you going back as well? The one speaking was a slightly older-looking nun. However, her skin was creamy white, while her temperament seemed royal and untouchable, as if she was above the mortal world. The man called Qi didn't have time to reply when an extremely beautiful woman next to him said, "But Luo Yu martial sister, I still haven't found what I wanted. And Yulin martial brother haven't been out long." Yulin martial brother said it's very beneficial to his cultivation being out to experience the world. Plus, we only get this chance once every 50 years. If we go back before time is up, wouldn't it be too pity? Perhaps we can wait a bit more. No, recently, a blood coral appeared in Liangpu. This thing is very precious even at our place. That's why in the mortal world, there are hidden sect people everywhere. If we stay here, we might be found. Yulin martial brother isn't from the same sect as us. If he wants to stay, of course I won't say anything. The Luo Yu nun was very straightforward, obviously not agreeing to that pretty girl's words. She martial brother hesitated for a moment before saying, "Luo Yu martial sister, I can't go back yet. I still have something unfinished." Luo Fei martial sister's words are also reasonable. Plus, I will take care of her. After all, it's not easy coming out. Luo Yu frowned. Seeing Qi martial brother and Luo Fei glancing at each other in that way, she felt uncomfortable. She felt that since Luo Fei martial sister chose nun cultivation, she shouldn't get close to someone like Qi Yulin. Plus, she didn't have a good impression of Qi Yulin either. But Luo Yu didn't say anything and turned to the youngest girl and said, "Luo Xian, what are your opinions?" Luo Xian said, "Big martial sister, I felt that I've learned a lot in these 2 months outside. And I have a feeling that if I have another 2 or 3 months, I can completely look through the library of Chun and Uni. I believe that I can find what we need there. But if Big martial sister feels that we should go back, I will listen to you." Qi Yuling smiled and said, "Luo Yin martial sister, Luo Xian is right. Sometimes, experiencing the outside world for a while and then go back for serene cultivation is better than constantly cultivating. I will take good care of these 2 martial sisters. Luo Yu martial sister, don't worry." Luo Xian smiled but didn't say anything. She thought different. She wouldn't need this Yulin martial brother to take care of. Luo Yu sighed. "Okay, we'll go back after some more time. Luo Xian, although you cultivate very fast, you still need to be careful. Although the people outside are weak, they are very cunning. It's very easy to fall into their schemes. You need to take care of yourself." "I know, Big martial sister." Luo Xian poked out her tongue. Looking at Qi martial brother and Luo Fei disappearing very quickly, Luo Xian looked confused at Big martial sister and asked, "Martial sister, why did you change your mind? That's not like you." Luo Yu sighed, looking at Luo Fei, who disappeared far off. After a long while she said, "Luo Xian martial sister, have you noticed something different about your Luo Fei martial sister?" "Not really." "Why, what's wrong, martial sister?" Luo Xian asked in surprise. Luo Yu frowned and said, "I only noticed later. Luo Fei has lost her virginity. If she goes back now, she won't get away from the harsh punishment from the sect, so I don't know what to do either." "What?" Luo Xian exclaimed. After some time she said, "Is it Qi martial brother? How can he do that?" Luo Yu sighed and said, "It should be him. Qi Yulin looks very charming, but I feel he's not reliable and real. If he really loved Luo Fei martial sister, he wouldn't take her virginity now. Sigh, Luo Fei really doesn't know self-love." After pausing for a moment, Luo Yu continued, "Let's not talk about that. Luo Xian, you must remember not to trust anyone so easily, especially the men outside. They're all very bad. You just need to search through the library in Chun and Uni. If something happens, you must remember to contact me." Martial sister, I know. Even if you don't tell me, I know how bad the people outside are. I've met one recently. Oh no, not good." Luo Xian seemed to have remembered something and screamed. She seemed very worried. "What's wrong, Luo Xian?" Luo Yu looked at Luo Xian in surprise and asked. Luo Xian quickly said. Nothing, I have something urgent. I'll be going first, Martial Sister. I'll come find you when I have time. Then, Luo Xian turned and left quickly. She was really worried. She left that annoying guy next door the black dye wood as a bait for the ghost tonight. It was already 2 to 3 a.m. now, but she completely forgot about it. Perhaps that Moing was already completely dead. If that really was so, then she killed him. Although that man was disgusting, if he died due to her, she would feel very bad. Just when Yemo reached the 9th floor, the sound disappeared and Yemo scanned his spirit sense. There was nothing on the 9th floor. Just when Yemo was about to look carefully, there seemed to be 2 shadows walking past to the 10th floor. After a brief moment, that walking sound appeared on the 10th floor. Yemo didn't even think and sped to the 10th floor. The 10th floor was very quiet, but Yemo's spirit sense scanned a few faint shadows. If he didn't have spirit sense, he wouldn't have been able to discern this. However, these few people were like dolls and stood in the center of the living room, not moving at all. Yemo knew that people had souls and after death, the souls would disappear into nature. As for whether there was reincarnation, Yemo didn't know, but he knew that the dead spirit couldn't appear in daylight. Unless it was a ghost cultivator. Ghost cultivator had a cultivation method, so they couldn't be treated as normal people. But there couldn't be cultivation methods here, much less ghost cultivator method. So how did the not yet dissipated souls stand there and not move? Yemo scanned out his spirit sense but didn't find anything. He believed these normal ghosts weren't able to push Luo Xian down. It meant that there was something above. Yemo came to the 11th floor. But as soon as Yemo left the 10th floor, his spirit sense noticed those ghosts that didn't move started to walk around and the footsteps were very loud. Perhaps it was the ghost of the previous owner of the 10th floor. He was harmed and his soul was shackled. Yemo also saw a few ghosts at the 11th floor, but they seemed more ferocious than the 10th floor ones. When they saw Yemo, they actually charged up as though they were going to devour Yemo. Before they even reached Yemo, the bleak wind already came. Yemo sneered and threw out a few fireballs. There was a sharp shriek and the ghosts disappeared traceless. Although they were burnt by Yemo, Yemo knew they were far from as powerful as the one Luo Xian met last night. Yemo then came to the 12th floor. He already knew that these ghosts weren't natural. It was probably someone farming these ghosts. It could be seen that this person was quite capable. Originally, people died like an extinguished candle. They would dissipate in the world to nothing. But here Yemo found someone who could control dead spirit and make it not dissipate and even condense. This was very strange. At the 12th floor, Yemo found the black shadow that fought with Luo Xian indeed. This black shadow didn't seem to react to Yemo's arrival, and Yemo wasn't in a rush to attack it. He scanned his spirit sense out, and soon found one corner of the main bedroom was different. There was a wardrobe, he couldn't scan his spirit sense in. Yemo didn't even think and walked to this corner, and threw out a fireball. He didn't care about the black shadow in the middle. Although it was strong, it was nothing to Yemo. Other people couldn't see it, but it had nowhere to hide up from Yemo's spirit sense. And Yemo knew that this black shadow was a ghoul formed artificially by someone. As for the other ghosts a few floors below, they should be the food for this fierce ghoul to make it grow. Although he threw out a fireball, Yemo couldn't help but to sigh. China had a great landscape and vast sort of things. There were all sorts of people. There were also countless methods of feeding and keeping ghosts. However, people in the cities just rarely encountered them. He didn't expect to see someone overtly keeping ghosts in the city and grew out a rather strong one. One could imagine how much souls were needed for this ghoul to be strong enough to beat yellow-level middle-stage martial artist. Souls weren't easy to get. Even if you had means to collect ghosts, you needed to act on it immediately. But once a person dies, his soul would disappear immediately, so these souls needed to be collected on the spot. From this, it could be seen that the ghost keeper was a cruel person. Yemo's killing intent rose, he threw out a few more fireballs. Splash, splash, the closet that kept his spirit sense out was broken and a woman wearing a large red robe stood out. Her face was pale and lips were vibrant red as though she was dead. But Yemo knew that the woman in front of him wasn't dead, she was alive. It was just that because she stayed with dead things all year long, she had this death chi on her. But Yemo knew that the woman in front of him wasn't dead, she was alive. It was just that because she stayed with dead things all year long, she had this death chi on her. Who are you? Why are you ruining my thing? I know you're not easy to mess with. I never messed with you, but you dare to mess with me, Screech. The woman's voice was sharp like a needle, making people feel uncomfortable. Yemo sneered. I didn't want to be bothered with you, but you already messed with me. I chose this place to cultivate in peace, and I don't want to be disturbed by people nor ghosts, but you dare to make sounds above me. And last night you went to the 5th floor to kill someone. If you don't piss me off it's fine, but since you already disturbed me, even if you run to the end of the earth, I will still burn you down to ashes. The red-robed woman reached out her chicken claws. Her nails were a few inches long, and she shrieked. You are too domineering. I killed people, but I didn't kill you. What did that get to do with you? If I wasn't afraid of you, I would have killed the woman next door last night. What else do you want? Yemo dazed. This woman could tell he was strong? Not right. Yemo immediately knew the woman was lying. The woman didn't kill Luo Xian last night not because of him. There must be another reason, but Yemo didn't expose her, and said coldly. I am domineering. What are you going to do? I've killed all your ghouls downstairs. You don't like it? You are keeping so many ghouls, and from this it can be seen how many people you kill each day. You met me and you still try to mess with me. That's your bad luck. You think you're good just because you can shoot fireballs? Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you offend me, you're finished. Your whole family is finished. The woman shrieked. She actually thought a fireball was nothing? This was the first time Yemo met someone like this on Earth. Even when the hidden sect people saw him shoot fireballs, they were very shocked. But he actually met someone who thought lowly of the fireball technique. Did she know how to do it too, or was she also a spirit cultivator? The woman saw Yemo was confused and sneered coldly. She reached out her long hand and a bulb of faint yellow fire appeared on her fingers. Although it was small, it was still very clear. Yemo almost laughed. This woman was really funny. She thought his fireball was made through chemical means like hers. This chemical fire could only be used to scare people. It can't really harm anyone. She probably stayed in the graveyard for too long. Okay, you're tough. I'll give up this building now. As long as you don't look for trouble with me. The red-robed woman seemed to know Yemo wasn't easy to mess with and wasn't prepared to fight to the death with Yemo. Yemo sneered. Since I came, if I let you go so easily, you'd be overestimating yourself. And Yemo was sure that the woman wasn't going to give up like this. For someone like her, she wouldn't pass out on him who had so much power. To her, his soul was probably worth more than thousands of normal ghosts. As soon as Yemo finished, that ghoul behind him suddenly charged at Yemo speedily. Yemo didn't even turn and multiple fireballs enveloped the ghouls. An extremely putrid smell came. After a fit of sharp shrieks, the ghoul behind Yemo was burnt into nothing. You dare to kill my little pet! The red-clothed woman screamed as though her lifeline was killed by Yemo, and she charged to Yemo immediately. Yemo said plainly, You're a mere yellow-level tertiary stage ancient martial arts cultivator, and you dare to act cocky in front of me. The woman stopped suddenly in her tracks and looked at Yemo in surprise. After a good while, she stuttered. You can see what my power level is. This isn't something you can know. I will take your life. You've killed so many people, so you can go die as well. Then, Yemo shot out more than 10 fireballs around the woman. The woman shrieked. Don't kill me. I'm a pupil of the 4-state 9-moon temple. If you kill me, you will be hunted down by the masters of my sect? Yemo sneered. 9-moon temple, is it very strong? Not long ago, I killed a guy called Nyewubian. I wonder if he came from your sect. But no need for a hunt. In a while later, I will go to the 9-Moon Temple personally. This disgusting place does not deserve to exist. Hearing Yemo's words, the red-robed woman screamed. You actually killed Wubian Marshal brother? Let me go. I'm willing to help you do anything. Before she finished her words, she was burnt to crisp by Yemo's fireball with only some dust left flying around. Yemo then looked at that thing that could block his spirit sense. It was a very strange wood. Yemo couldn't recognize it, but it had already been burned pretty badly by his fireball, so Yemo just burned it down completely. This woman definitely had an artifact to control ghosts, but Yemo didn't like such dirty stuff, so he didn't even ask and burnt everything. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out. As soon as he killed the woman, all the ghosts from downstairs floated out and disappeared in nature. It's finally quiet now. Yemo sighed. He could go back to concoct pills. But why was none of the disciples of this 4-state 9-Moon Temple good? All of them were completely disgusting. Yemo went back to the 8th floor and forgot to ask the woman if she made the elevator rise up to the 12th floor. But it probably was her. Who else would be that bored? Yemo went back to his room and took out the blood coral. He carefully cut a third. He never hoped he would succeed on the first try, so he planned to concoct one cauldron first and then find the difficult parts of making the chi-increasing pill. Then, he would make preparations and wholeheartedly make the second cauldron of pills. That Luo Xian still hadn't come back, and she probably wouldn't be coming back tonight. This was perfect. Yemo didn't want anyone to disturb him while he concocted pills. He took out the Shinnon cauldron and shot out a gust of chi fire. Then, he took out some supplementary ingredients and dumped them into the cauldron as he started to melt them. There were many supplementary ingredients that could be used for the chi-increasing pill. What Yemo used now were all from the Shinnon Jia. Although they weren't as good as the ones in the cultivation realm, but they were still decent in improving the potency of the pill. Half an hour later, Yemo took out the waste from the cauldron and cut another piece of the blood coral and dumped it in. Another hour later, the medical droplets of blood coral started to coagulate. Yemo was getting more and more anxious. It would be good if he could concoct the chi-increasing pill on the first try, but if he couldn't, he would waste a cauldron full of ingredients. But after half an hour, Yemo started to sweat. The chi-increasing pill wasted too much spirit chi and wasn't something he could concoct now. But he had no choice. If he didn't make one, it was impossible to break through fast in this environment. Yemo went from strange to familiar with the concocting process, but the chi-increasing pill still had no signs of forming a pill. Although Yemo was worried, he knew this cauldron was probably going to go to waste. It wasn't that his method was wrong, but that his chi wasn't enough. If he had a pill for chi recovery now, he was sure he could finish concocting it. He knew his chi wasn't enough, but Yemo didn't want to give up. He still held on tight. He was trying his luck. Perhaps by accident the pill would form. In a loud bang, the still liquid ingredients exploded in the cauldron, causing an air wave pushing Yemo out. Yemo's clothes were completely blown off and his hair was like wild grass. His body was red with the steaming drips of the ingredients. Yemo felt hardness of breath as his mouth seeped blood. Luckily, the inner wounds weren't serious. His power was still too low. Yemo sighed. Just when he was getting up to pack up, his door was kicked open. Yemo didn't have time to scan his spirit sense, and just took back his cauldron without thinking. At the same time, his spirit sense locked onto his flying sword. That person dared to kick his door. He doesn't want to live. Emoing. Are you okay? Sorry, I had something on and I forgot about this. I'm really sorry. It was Luo Xian who charged in. Her eyes were indeed full of anxiety and worry. Now looking at Yemo in such a wounded state, the regret in her eyes was even more. But she continued, But luckily you're fine. If something really happened to you, I wouldn't be able to rest easy for the rest of my life. Although you're a bad person, I can't kill people. What was she on about? Yemo frowned, thinking what had his concocting pills got to do with her? Why was she so worried about him? But Emo immediately realized that he was probably dumbed by the explosion. This woman left the black dyewood sword here obviously wanting to use him. Looking at her reactions, she didn't want his life. She was probably hindered by something and forgot she left the sword here. Although Emo realized that Luo Xian wasn't trying to harm him, he still couldn't get a good feeling towards her. After all, she wanted to use him, and she forgot about this when it was life-threatening. It could be seen that she didn't care about human life, but her worry was real. Considering this, I would let you go this time. Just when Emo struggled to get up, Luo Xian took out a jade vase and gave Emo a pill. This is for recovery. Eat it. Emo nodded. He also wanted to see how good this woman's pills were, but as soon as Emo ate it, his face changed immediately. Oh no, I took out the wrong pill. Luo Xian's face changed drastically as she screamed. I actually gave you Qi recovering pill for you. What should I do? Luo Xian was only 19. She knew what would happen if she gave a Qi recovering pill to a normal person to eat. I actually gave you Qi recovering pill for you. What should I do? Luo Xian was only 19. She knew what would happen if she gave a Qi recovering pill to a normal person to eat. Qi recovering pill was for ancient martial artists who were at least at yellow or above level to recover Qi. If a normal person accidentally ate this, then the only result would be death from explosion. In a hurry, she actually used this as an injury pill for Emo, this ordinary person. Emo was also shocked, but not because the pill Luo Xian gave him was Qi recovering pill, but because the pill could actually recover his Qi, although not much. Even he didn't have pills that could recover spirit Qi. Where did this girl get it from? There were many valuable ingredients in the pill that he couldn't even find. But these ingredients were just made into simple Qi recovery pill. What a waste of valuable things. If he had enough of these pills, Emo could imagine that he could even use that pill to make Qi increasing pill. How could he get more of these pills from this little girl? He must get it. Emo's face kept changing. He really wanted to beat Luo Xian down and search her body, but Emo couldn't do such a thing. If this woman tried to harm him before, he wouldn't have any moral bearings for doing this, but the truth was, Luo Xian wasn't trying to harm him. Should he still do it? Seeing Emo's strange face, Luo Xian was more worried that even her tears started to appear. She looked at Emo with big eyes but didn't have a good way to save him. Even if she took him to the hospital, he would still die. Plus, he wouldn't even make it to the hospital. She only knew murmuring, "Sorry, I really didn't mean it, sorry. Is there something wrong with me? How come I feel my stomach isn't right?" Emo thought for a while and asked. Luo Xian wiped her tears and nodded, then saying, "Qi recovering pill can only be eaten by ancient martial artists. You will explode after eating, sorry I." Emo was trying so hard not to laugh, but his face turned bleak and scary. "I'm going to die, and it's caused by your Qi recovery pill. So after I die and turn into a ghost, I will still follow you. I have no feud with you, but you killed me. There's an extra ghost in this haunted house, so I can't let you go." Luo Xian's face turned white, but she shook her head. "I didn't mean it. In fact, I'm not scared of ghosts. I actually went to catch the ghost at level 9. No matter if you're afraid or not, I died by your hands, so I will follow you day and night. If there's an opportunity, one will eat you," Emo said nastily. Luo Xian was more worried and said, "I really didn't mean to harm you. If people die, their souls will dissipate. How come your stomach isn't getting bigger?" Normal people who eat the pills will have their stomachs gradually grow big and then end in an explosion. Emo was alarmed. He must not let her see anything. Thinking about this, his stomach started to grow big gradually. "Ah, your stomach." Luo Xian wanted to slap her mouth. As soon as she said Emo's stomach, it turned big. "What do I do?" Luo Xian was very worried, but good thing was, although Emo Ying's stomach was growing big, it was very slow. Emo said with a struggle, "I'm going to die. You go out. I don't want you to watch me die." "But..." Luo Xian looked worriedly at Yemo and said after a while, "Sorry, I caused your death." Yemo was so annoyed. "I've already said that, and what's the use of saying sorry?" Next line of the script should be, "If you have any last wishes, I'll help you finish it." Just when Yemo was prepared to remind Luo Xian, she wiped her eyes and said, "If you still have any last wishes, I will definitely help you finish it." Yemo's face grew bleaker as he said, "I don't want to hate you, but I hate your chi recovery pill. Give me all your chi recovery pills. Before I die, I will exact revenge on these pills. That is my only wish." Luo Xian didn't think much of it and took out the chi recovery pills pitifully and said, "Actually, it's not the pills' fault. It's all my fault." Yemo saw that she didn't give the pills to him and quickly said, "It's fine if you don't want to complete my wish. After I die, I will turn into a ghost and follow you day and night. Even if you're not afraid of ghosts, I will still find fellow ghosts and follow you." Luo Xian's face went white. Now that Yemo said this, she quickly replied, "No, you must not, please. Okay, I'll give them to you." Then, she put the chi recovery pills in front of Yemo and said after a while, "If you turn into a ghost, don't follow me. Even if you do, don't get too many ghosts to follow me." Yemo took back the chi recovery pills and was no longer in the mood to bullshit with Luo Xian. He quickly said, "Okay, I won't follow you. You can go out. I want to be by myself. Remember to fix the door for me." Then, Yemo pushed Luo Xian out and closed the door. Yemo looked at the pills in his hands and felt his face burning. It was like an adult tricking something from a little kid. But this woman couldn't be counted as a kid. Not only did she scheme him, and also gave him the wrong pill. If he really was a normal person, perhaps he would really have died. But Yemo also knew that he was finding excuses for himself. After all, this bottle of pills must be really expensive on Earth. Never mind, when he concocted chi-increasing pills, he would give her 2. With 2, perhaps she could reach black level elementary stage. That would be the compensation. After all, without the chi recovery pill, it would be hard for Yemo to concoct the chi increasing pill at stage 3 chi gathering. Luo Xian stood outside and suddenly felt something wasn't quite right, but she didn't know what was wrong. Yemo packed up his room and took a shower. He scanned his spirit sense out and found that Luo Xian hadn't left. She just sat in his living room dumbfounded. Helplessly, Yemo could only open the door and looked at Luo Xian and asked, "How come you haven't left?" "Huh, you're not dead? That's great. I thought." But she didn't finish the rest of the sentence. Seeing that Yemo was fine, the happiness on her face was authentic. Seeing this expression, Yemo felt more guilty, but this guilt just flashed across quickly. He'll just give her some chi-increasing pills, much more precious than her chi recovery pill. Yemo could only say awkwardly, "Yeah, originally, I felt my stomach was very uncomfortable and I don't know why, but it seemed to be starting to get better. This is quite strange. Okay, you should be going back. It's just that my door is broken and I need to fix it tomorrow." Yemo was afraid Luo Xian would think about the pills and quickly directed her attention. "Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask you. When I just came in, I saw you were injured. Was it because the thing from upstairs came down? Wait, I'll go have a look." Then before Yemo could reply, Luo Xian ran out quickly. Yemo's spirit sense immediately followed and found that she actually went to the balcony of the 9th floor. She wasn't afraid today. This was really strange, but when she reached the 9th floor, she checked carefully. Eventually, her eyes fell on the footprints on the ground. One set was left behind by her, but beside it she saw another set that also belonged to a woman. However, it disappeared at the end of the balcony. What made her surprised the most was that there was another set of footprints that was much larger. It appeared very suddenly because there were no footsteps around it. Yemo looked at Luo Xian's face that kept changing and commented on her meticulous mind. Although her experience was pitifully little, she was very meticulous. That, of course, was left behind by Yemo. He forgot to erase it. After he left the footprints, he just flew to the 10th floor, so it appeared very suddenly. Yemo thought Luo Xian would go upstairs and look, but she instead flipped down and came into Yemo's house. What are you doing back here? Yemo was scared of facing Luo Xian. She better not ask about the chi recovery pills. They was very useful to him. Luo Xian stood in front of Yemo and hesitated for a long time before saying shyly, Memoing, my door is still not fixed. I'll have a look. I heard this building isn't safe. What if something at night comes into my house? I'll be dead. Yemo thought she was going to ask for the pills and didn't even think before interrupting her. He walked to the door and started to check it. Luo Xian quickly followed and said, It's fine. I'll help you find someone to fix it tomorrow. If you don't feel safe at night, you can live at my place. There are 3 bedrooms. That's not too good. How about you go first, and when I want to come, I'll press your bell. Yemo immediately said, Okay, I'll go back first. I'm tired today. If you're coming, then come earlier, otherwise I'll fall asleep. Luo Xian nodded, but just when she walked to the doorway, she stopped. Yemo had a fright. Was she going to remember? As expected, Luo Xian suddenly stopped and hesitated for a moment before saying, By the way, Emoing, can you give back the chi recovery pills I gave you? They are very important for me. As expected, Luo Xian suddenly stopped and hesitated for a moment before saying, By the way, Emoing, can you give back the chi recovery pills I gave you? They are very important for me. She was telling the truth. If she had those pills at night, perhaps she would even continue on to the 10th floor after 9. But without it, she didn't dare to go up. And these pills were very precious. If she wasn't going outdoor for experience, she wouldn't even get that bottle. Even her master couldn't get these so easily. Because Luo Xian was the youngest, she got a bottle of chi recovery pills and there was only 12 inside. Meanwhile, her 2 martial sisters only got 6. Because Yemo was going to die and wanted the chi recovery pills as his last wish, so although she couldn't bear it, but she still gave them to him since he would die due to her. But now Yemo lived again, and these chi recovery pills were so expensive. She must get them back. So no matter how Yemo interrupted, she always remembered that there was a bottle of chi recovery pills on Yemo. Upon hearing Luo Xian's words, Yemo almost spat blood. He tried for so long to try to divert attention, but she still asked that question. There was no way he was going to give the pills back. He had no chi recovery pills now. It wasn't that he couldn't make them, but he didn't have the resources. So, this bottle of pills was very important to Yemo. Without them, he wouldn't be able to make chi increasing pills. Seeing that Yemo didn't talk for a long time, Luo Xian was worried. Just when she was prepared to ask again, Yemo sighed. Sigh, I thought I died in the hands of chi recovery pills, so I threw them all away. Now that you asked me for it, I can't take it out. Huh? Luo Xian heard Yemo's words and tears started to swell around her eyes. Such a precious bottle of pills were tipped out. She dazed for a long time before she wiped her eyes and asked, Where did you tip them? Seeing that this little girl was crying, Yemo felt a little embarrassed but could only say, I just threw it out the window casually. Who knows where it went? Perhaps the pills have been eaten up by ants. Upon hearing this, Luo Xian went out immediately. Yemo felt a sigh of relief. He finally tricked her away. If she stayed, then he really wouldn't be able to take it. It was just a bottle of chi recovery pills. It made him feel so guilty. Yemo looked at the door that was kicked open and didn't bother to do anything. He went back to this room and was prepared to have a night's rest. When Luo Xian went to uni tomorrow, he would make a few cauldrons of normal pills. When he got familiar, he would fully concentrate on the chi-increasing pills. But before Yemo got on bed, his spirit sense scanned Luo Xian. This girl carried a mind torch searching for something downstairs. No way, Yemo yawned helplessly. This woman was really annoying. He already said he threw it away, but she was searching for it at night with a mind torch. How did that make him feel? Sigh, let her be. Once she won't find it, she would give up. If he knew earlier, he should have said he threw it in the toilet. Yemo hardened his heart and went to sleep. Yemo woke up in the morning with a fresh mind. He cleaned himself and was prepared to go downstairs to get soy milk. But he saw from the balcony that Luo Xian was still searching downstairs. Yemo was shocked. Did she actually search for it the whole night? Looking at Luo Xian's state, Yemo fell silent. He sighed. Never mind, he'll give it back to her. Without those pills, he would think of another way. This made him feel so guilty. Just when Yemo wanted to call Luo Xian up to give the pills back to her, he saw her disappointed look as she turned into the building. Yemo scanned that her eyes were quite black and a bit swollen. She was probably sad over the pills for the whole night, but since she gave up, there was no need to give it back to her. However, Yemo didn't dare to go down to drink soy milk. He didn't want to meet her again. He went back in his room and fiddled with the unveil for a while and estimated that by this time, Luo Xian should have been gone. Then, he walked out slowly. How come you still haven't left? Yemo opened the door and saw Luo Xian sitting in the living room, thinking it was really convenient without a door. Luo Xian originally wanted to say something, but seeing that Yemo opened the door to his bedroom, she immediately charged in. She looked carefully around his room before shaking her head. He looked at her in shock, thinking, if I'm going to steal it, I can't let you see it, right? Luo Xian looked a while before turning back and saying, "Moing, I just noticed that there was some unveil chi in your room. Something unclean might have come to your room last night. Did you find anything different last night?" Yemo dazed. He took out the unveil just then, and Luo Xian noticed that this girl was really sensitive. Yemo asked subconsciously, "How do you know?" Luo Xian said in a serious manner, "I can see things that others can't with my eyes, and I seem to have seen some unveil chi in your room. But it's very faint and it's gone now. But this isn't normal. I suggest you to stop living here." Yemo commended but said, "Luo Xian, it's such a waste that you don't become a nun." Then, he remembered, wasn't this little girl already a nun? Sigh, what a pity. Such a beautiful little girl actually became a nun. As expected, a sliver of uneasiness appeared across Luo Xian's face, but she didn't say anything. Aren't you going to uni today?" Yemo feared staying with this Luo Xian the most. Whenever he was with her, he couldn't help to think about the bottle of pills. Luo Xian shook her head. "Sorry, I wasn't at home last night and forgot your place didn't have a door. You were almost harmed by bad spirits. So, I called in the morning for you. Later, someone will come fix the door." Yemo opened his mouth and thought, why Luo Xian seemed different from a few days ago. Was it because she lost her pills that she went under a personality change? She should use the attitude she used against that young Master Wu, then he wouldn't feel guilty. It doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm living very well here, very well. Yemo waved his hands. Seeing Luo Xian, who wasn't convinced, Yemo could only say again, "I'm going down to get soy milk. See ya." Then Yemo left. He thought, if you won't leave, then I'll leave. Wait. Luo Xian suddenly stopped Yemo. What else is it? Yemo looked at Luo Xian strangely. Luo Xian hesitated before eventually saying, "I have something that I want you to help me with." Yemo felt strange. Luo Xian didn't seem like she needed his help. Plus, with her perception of him, she wouldn't ask him for help even if she needed to. What trick was she going to play now? Yemo didn't mind. If she didn't play tricks, then he would help her with something small. Even if she did try something, he wouldn't lose to a little girl. Thinking about this, Yemo laughed. "Ha ha ha, no problem. We're neighbors and you're a warm-hearted person. We should be helping each other out occasionally. Tell me, what is it?" "I have a Qianbei in Chunnan. It's his 100 years birthday, so I want to go greet him. I'm wondering if you can come with me?" Luo Xian eventually said. Yemo felt strange. "Since he's your Qianbei, then you can just go by yourself. Why are you getting me to go?" Is he going to eat you or something? Luo Xian quickly explained. No, it's like this. This Qianbei stayed in Chun'an Uni for a while. Chun'an Uni is one of the oldest unis in China. Its past life could be traced but to the Tang dynasty. 60 years ago, a lot of the books in the library were lost due to a big incident. But most of these books were collected by this Qianbei. I love reading books, so my family wants me to go meet this Qianbei and try to see some of those old books. Then go read them. That Qianbei has lived for 100 years. I don't think he's stingy to the point that he wouldn't let you read the books. Plus, if he really is that stingy, then there's no point in me going as well, Yemo said casually. He didn't want to go to public scenes. There would be a lot of people. But that Qianbei has a great-grandson studying at Chun'an Uni. He's very sticky and I really don't want to go, but I have to, Luo Xian said, troubled. Yemo sneered. So you're getting me to be your shield. Sorry, I don't like being shield, Luo Xian said seriously, however. No, I'm not making you as a shield. I really want you to help. You just said we're neighbors. You will help me? And it is not going for long. When I'm looking at the books, you just need to keep him stalled. And the chi recovery pills are something important my family gave me. I've already lost them. If I can't even do this, then I really don't know what to say when I get back. Yemo dazed. There was allegorical meaning to Luo Xian's words. Was she suspecting that he took her chi recovery pills? You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.